Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On the part of the Senate, this meeting of the Joint Congressional Oversight Committee on the Automated Election. Chairman Barsaga.
On the part of the House, the meeting is hereby called into order.
The House panel, I think, lost its chairman. So, is it now safe to call Congressman Barsaga as the new House panel chair?
Well, there has been
Oversight Committee on the Automated Election System would like to acknowledge the presence of our resource person in today's committee hearing. Honorable Andres Bautista, Chairman, Commission on Elections. Commissioner Christian Robert S. Lim, Comelec. Commissioner Arthur D. Lim, Comelec. Commissioner Al Pareño, Comelec. Commissioner Rowena Amelia V. Guanzon, Comelec. Commissioner Sheriff M. Abbas, Comelec. We have Assistant Executive Director Dennis Villorente, member of the Comelec Advisory Council, DOST. Mr. Eli Moreno, General Manager, Smartmatic Asia Pacific. Mr. Marlon, System Watch. Mr. Gas Lagman, Lead Convener, Transparent Election. Mr. Leo Querubin, President, Philippine Computer Society. Mr. Edmond Casino, Philippine Computer Society. Mr. Raul Nagrampa, Assistant Director, National Printing Office. Attorney Tim Abejo, Convener, Democracy Watch. Assistant Governor Dalia D. Luna, Security Plant Complex, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Director Immaculate P. Ilustre, Banknotes Securities Printing Department, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Attorney Glenn Chong, Spokesperson, National Transformation Council. Mr. Eric Jude Alvia, Secretary General, NAMFREL. We have Dr. William Emmanuel S. Yu, IT Committee Director, Parish Pastoral Council for Responsible Voting, PPCRV, and Attorney Howard Calleja, PPCRV. Chair.
Thank you, Attorney Garcia. So, the agenda we have prepared for today's hearing would be as follows. We want an update from the Comelec on the preparations for the 2016 national and local elections. Inquiry on the contingency measures to be placed by Comelec for the 2016 national and local elections. Inquiry on the Comelec's plan with regard to the previously purchased 81,896 PCOS machines, since Comelec has opted to lease new 70,977 OMR machines. Comelec's report on the 2016 automated election systems compliance with the minimum system capabilities provided by law. Inquiry on the testing of the 99.995% accuracy of the PCOS machines. Inquiry on the printing of ballots for the 2016 national and local elections. Inquiry on the plans to improve the transmission of election results for the 2016 elections. Inquiry on the compliance or non-compliance of Smartmatic-TM with the provisions of the 2009 and 2012 automation election contracts. Inquiry on Comelec's position with regard to the implementing rules. Under other matters, this sabotage, which I just read, we can put it there in other matters. Okay, so may we hear from, I'm assuming a lot has happened. And maybe even sa other matters, the mall, because it's getting front page or prime time publicity, the mall voting plan of the Comelec. Okay, so may we hear from the Comelec updates on the preparations.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Senator Pimentel, Chairman of the Senate panel. Also, good morning to Congressman Barsaga, soon to be Chairman of the House panel. Good morning also to fellow stakeholders in our election process. On behalf of the Commission on Elections, we are pleased to provide an update on the preparations being undertaken for the May 9, 2016 national and local elections. We have prepared a brief PowerPoint presentation. So perhaps we can invite your attention to the screen. Okay, we will be providing updates in respect of the status of the voter registration and validation, as well as the preparations in connection with the automated elections in May 2016. First, we wanted to provide the committee with the latest figures in respect of the number of registered voters and the number of voters who still lack biometrics. So as of July 20, 2015, the number of registered voters is up to 52.3 million, while the number of registered voters without biometrics is down to 3.1 million as of August 30, 2015. And the next slide provides a chart which shows that the number of registered voters has been increasing, and you will note that there was a marked increase from the period April 20 to July 20, 2015. Also here you will note that there has been continuous cleansing of this voters list. You will note the numbers who were deactivated for failure to vote in the two preceding elections, as well as those that were removed because of death. Next slide also shows the number of voters who do not have biometrics. Again, we are pleased to report that the numbers are also going down, and that if you look at the last 3 months, I think you will note that we have been averaging about 300,000 to 400,000 voters who have been complying with Republic Act 10367, which mandates that all voters need to provide or validate their biometrics, otherwise they will be deactivated and will not be allowed to vote in the May 2016 elections. So right now the latest count is 3.1. This is a chart that shows a comparative data on a per region basis as to where which regions have the most number of voters without biometrics. And what we've noticed is that it basically, though, tracks the it is proportionate to the to the regions with the most number of voters. So for example, region 4A is the one that has the most, but it also has the most number of voters. And then also region 3 and NCR. But we are intensifying our efforts. We have about, I think, 43 or 44 days left prior to the October 31 deadline. So Comelec offices are open Monday to Saturday to serve our voters, and our tie-ups with various malls nationwide continue. So our satellite registration booths continue to provide services to voters, particularly during the weekend.
Chair, just a question to be clarified. So, these are numbers on voters without.
That is correct,
Yung,
Mr. Chairman.
ano ba yung pangalawa? Ano ba yan? Yung 392, so that increased in effect? Nag-increase? So, yung sa top is national total, no?
Oo.
So nag-decrease ang national total. But the next one is what? What is that? NCR.
Mukhang mali nga yan, mukhang mali. Dapat bumaba eh.
Kaya nga ako nagtanong, Chair, hindi ko na...
Okay. Let us check that, Mr. Chairman. Sige. And that's NCR, so mahalaga yan. Sige, before the meeting ends, we will provide the correct figures. Okay, next slide. So I think the last time the committee also requested the Comelec to provide it with a sample of the EDCVL, or the Election Day Computerized Voters List. And this is a sample which shows that there will be a photo as well as a signature, and also the photo of the fingerprint. There is a photo of the fingerprint that will be seen in the Election Day Computerized Voters List.
On election day, the computerized voters list is a printed form, di ba? Do you have hindi kasi ito paano yan, power slide lang yan. May printed ba tayong dala?
But we can provide.
No, I thought that yun ang usapan, so that we can, because my question is how clear.
Right.
I know how clear is that, how useful will that be on election day. So, yung mga practical na bagay ba?
Sige, we will get copies.
Just a clarification. Would the public or the candidates or the NGOs who are interested with the election be able to see the computerized voters list even before election? So that we will know.
Yes, Your Honor. Di ba meron din tayo, aside from the EDCVL, meron tayo yung PCVL, no? Which is the posted computerized voters list, which is supposed to be posted in
How early? Because based on previous experience, minsan, dispiras na ng gabi ng halalan, lumalabas. Sometimes even in the early morning of election day. So we want to know, in order to assure everybody na malayo pa halalan, alam nyo na kung boboto kayo o hindi, kung tama mukha nyo roon o hindi. And I think the public needs that in order that our purpose of hope, honest, orderly, peaceful elections could be realized.
I think that's a fair comment, Congressman Barsaga, so we will take note of that, and we will make sure that the posted computerized voters list is posted within a sufficient time so that the public...
Chair, can you answer us, under present rules, how early should the PCVL be posted? Present rules, or as practiced in the last election, para malaman po natin.
Apparently, under the rules, it's 90 days. So we have to do that. But we have to distinguish the PCVL with the EDCVL, but both should should mirror. Kumbaga.
Oo, kung meron mang most likely siguro nabawasan si PCVL, ganun kaya yan, nabawasan, hindi siya madagdagan si PCVL sa EDCVL.
Right.
Or it could go either way.
It could go either way.
Well, sige,
baka
okay.
within the 90 days, baka merong, kumbaga,
Hindi ba sinasara na yun, Commissioner? I mean, the voters list is closed.
What happens, Your Honor, is usually we have the system called abatement, Your Honor, in case that in the AFIS it will detect that the voter is a multiple registrant, then the most latest registration will be considered void, no? And the election officer is empowered to abate or to crash out the voter. Second, also, Your Honor, is usually cases of inclusion or exclusion come out in March or April. So in case the court will decide to exclude certain voters, then we will have to crash out also. Or in the case that the court decides to include voters that were not registered, then we will have to also input the voters that were included by the court.
But can you educate the panel? Under the rules, there is a cut-off date when we will no longer touch the voters list, hindi ba? What is that? How many days before election?
No, Your Honor, we do not have any power over the courts. So if the courts will decide to include even up to the day of elections, then we have no choice but to comply with the courts.
Yun, okay.
Oh.
So only court order can now change the
Inclusion or exclusion of voters,
the list,
Your Honor.
the PCVL.
Now, the PCBL, Your Honor, it does not contain pictures or signature or fingerprint.
Names.
It's just the names of the voter. This is posted outside the precinct, Your Honor, and also posted in a central place if in case that the voting center has multiple clustered precincts. This is printed by the election officer using a carbonized form. No? On the other hand, the EDCVL is in booklet form. It is provided to the BEI. This is in 2013 we bidded it out and we distributed it to the election officers, Your Honor.
You bid out the printing,
The printing, Your Honor.
the distribution, pate.
It's part of the deployment services that we have, Your Honor.
I'll just pursue this. But from the point of view of the Comelec, there is a time when you now consider the voters list as final for that certain election, and only court order can change that. Diba?
Yes, Your Honor. In fact,
May I know the date? When is that?
based on our timelines, Your Honor, December 15 is when we should have finalized the project of precincts.
Okay, Project of Precincts kasi voters yun, di ba? So, December 15 to... So,
2015, Your Honor.
2015, so from the point of view of the Comelec, that's already now the final list of voters eligible to cast their votes in the 2016 elections.
Yes, Your
And
Honor.
only court orders can add or subtract from that list.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, klaro yun. Okay, say, Congressman Barsaga.
No, my inquiry is about the sample election day computerized voters list. Is it a correct impression na ito ay makikita lang namin sa araw ng halalan?
In previous elections, yes, Your Honor.
No.
Yes.
2016 elections. Kailan namin makikita itong sample election day computerized voters list?
Election day, Your Honor.
Where?
At the precinct, Your Honor.
So, pagboboto lamang, saka makikita ng butante.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hindi ba pwedeng makita yan prior to election? Kasi pag voters list, makikita lang namin pangalan. Kung makikita namin pati muka, at least the election watchdog. Siyempre, mas gusto nila yan. At kami mga kandidato, who wants really a fair and honest election, gusto rin namin sanang makita yan. Even prior to the election, hindi katulad sa araw ng halalan, pagpasok lang sa presinto, saka namin makikita lamang noong butante.
Ano po ba yung rationale nun? Bakit parang protected document po ba yan?
Actually, Your Honor, under the law, they are required to just, the 90-day period is the PCVL. No? Actually, yung EDCVL, well, there's nothing mentioned about it in the law. No? But ang sa amin, I got a commitment from Chairman, we will study how we can make it available for inspection by the political parties sooner, so before election day. No? Siguro, ang issues namin, pag tinamper yan, ginalaw yan, or sinunog yan, wala ka na election sa presinto. No?
Di ba tayo pwede magawa na ng 2 or 3 copies?
Mahal yun.
With the modern technology?
You know the costing?
In 2013, Your Honor, it was bidded out. The winning bidder was 3.06 million, Your Honor. 3.06 million. Printing services lang, Your Honor, excluding paper supply.
For how many copies?
One set, Your Honor.
Kung gawin natin dalawang set, magkano costing? 6 million lang yun. We can guarantee that there is true identity on the part of the voter even prior to election time. And every candidate would be satisfied, and even flying voters or voters using other names and perhaps other bases would be deterred.
Siguro, sir. Your Honor, we'll study it, having multiple copies, Your Honor.
Yeah, basta 3 million for printing and then supply, sabi mo. So you multiply it by 2.
Ang isa naman, Your Honor, kung gusto ninyo, ang isa, pwede namin pag-aralan to po. Ipopost na lang namin sa website yung EDCBL, no? Para mas makatipid.
Mr. Chair, pwede naman sa website at saka make it also accessible via SMS.
Teka. Yung SMS, parang may service noon na ganun. You can check your precinct. Is this still good?
May tie-up kasi po, Your Honor, with, I think, I'm not sure ABS ba or that they will be the one to provide that service, no. But sa amin, Your Honor, sa Comelec, wala kaming transmission facility unless meron kaming MOA with the that they can provide.
No, mali ako, hindi SMS but online, no? You can check.
Oh,
you
yes,
can
meron
check.
pa rin, Your Honor.
Still,
Printing finder.
that's it,
Yes,
good.
yes, Your Honor. So you can also validate whether you have already your voter's ID. You
So
can
we can
also
check
check if you have biometrics also, Your Honor.
Yes, Miss Akon.
I think that because of the biometrics, what do you call this, the plan of Comelec to come out with the biometrics, it will be very simple to come out with your voters list that is computerized. But my question is really, from NAMFREL point of view, we were given the PCVL, which was, let's say, alphanumeric. And then on the EDCVL, it's purely numeric. Can we ask for a consistency in the format of the data? Because when it comes to election day, when we do come out with our project monitoring and of our of tabulation, all of the data is rejected because of the, so that is a problem that we are having with Comelec. That's why I wanted to comment. You're coming out with the voters list. Please be consistent with the field description. If it is alphanumeric, then let it be alphanumeric. If it is purely numeric, then make it purely numeric. And then on the bilang ng bayan, which was I think given by Channel 5, Manny Pangilinan launched it a week ago. I think they're coming out with the Find Me Precinct program. Yeah. Several.
Me precinct. So okay, we tie up with the Comelec. So can we get the response from the Comelec? Yung pala, ito practical po yan, feedback that they tried using your PCVL, but when they access your system, they're rejected because your
The format
is
different.
inconsistent with what you're using for the elections.
Yeah.
So any
Well, we
feedback?
will speak to Ms. Akol about it. I think we need a bit of a greater explanation, but again, we're willing to work to make it.
Okay, but can the answer be also relayed to the committee so that we will
Okay.
we will
Kasi
understand we will understand the what actually hindi ko pa masyado makuha, ma'am.
Yung
Sinabi
nga, yun
mo,
din
what is
ang
the
aming
difference?
problema.
Alphanumeric yung isa
Numeric. Ano ba ibig sabihin?
Oo nga,
nun?
ano pong ibig?
No,
Tsaka saan po dyan? Which one?
We're given that each voter is given an ID number, right? That's then the voter's ID is alphanumeric in the CD that we got from Comelec. On the day itself, when we put in, what is the voters, the tabulation form, okay, it is purely numeric. The EDCVL is purely numeric. Therefore, the program will not accept the entry.
Are you referring to the VIN number?
Yes.
No, the VIN number, Your Honor, there's a specification under Republic Act 8189 that the composition of the voter's VIN number should follow a certain pattern. So we cannot change that. No, we have to follow what is in 8189. Now, for purpose of EDCVL, of course, no, you cannot use the VIN number because you have to number the voters sequentially so that you know how many are contained in that precinct. We cannot, if you use the VIN number, you have no way of determining how many voters are there unless you manually count them.
Is the voter in the EDCVL linked to his VIN number?
No, Your Honor.
Wala.
Wala,
So,
no.
Hindi ba parang yun? Parang your VIN is your parang SSS number mo? Parang ganon? Which should always be linked to the person?
Yes, it's linked to the person, Your Honor. In fact, part of the combination of that is the birth date
Yes.
of
yun
the
na.
person, a certain area code of the person that formulates the VIN. No, but again, not all the voters can be issued with IDs, even if you're looking at going to the 2016 elections. So if you require that as a requirement, then a lot of voters will be disenfranchised.
Only
Your Honor.
those who have been issued IDs have VIN.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yun pala. So you don't really take advantage of VIN as of the moment.
Yes, Your Honor.
So more or less pointless pa ang VIN ngayon. Kasi how many voters have no IDs yet? In the tens of millions, 20s of millions.
More 10. Closer to 10.
So, yun po ang explanation. So, we will just take a look at that, yung VIN. Kasi otherwise, talagang, lang siya. nothing, of no use siya sa ngayon.
That's what's submitted to us. We are given
Yes,
the voters list for our programming purposes. So we're given that list, and then they come up with an EDCVL, which is on election day, and this one will not be
Sige.
compatible with that list. So what I'm saying is that if, for example, the VIN is alphanumeric, can you make the EDCVL also alphanumeric? Or if you're making it purely numeric, then you make this one also purely numeric. Well, I'm only talking about the description of the field, because on election day, it is not accepted, it's rejected by the computer.
Sige ma'am, the chairman has committed to get to the bottom of this issue. But I doubt it if VIN yung voters list kasi hindi naman lahat nga may VIN eh. So, well, anyway, chairman, just give a report also to the panel so we will understand the issue. After
Sige.
after
Yeah, we
sa
want
next,
sana
sa next hearing.
to understand better nga yung concern about the
Apa.
numeric and the alphanumeric. So we will sit down with Ms. Acol after the
You can
hearing.
continue, chairman, with your
Okay.
presentation.
So next slide. At this point, I'd like to turn over the presentation to the chair of the steering committee for the 2016 election, Senior Commissioner Christian Robert Lim.
Your Honor, for the update on the preparations for the automated election system, these are the components of this report, Your Honor. We will start off with the lease of all new counting machines, Your Honor. Next slide, please. Now, for the lease of the all new, Your Honor, on August 27 and September 4, the Commission signed the contract and issued a notice to proceed to Smartmatic-TM for the 23,000 and 70,977 vote counting machines, Your Honor, for a total consideration of 8,011,095,380.96. The bundled package is inclusive of the EMS, Election Management System, the Consolidation and Canvassing System, the ballots, the ballot boxes, technical support, and other related services and consumables, Your Honor. As reported in the news, we have part of the contract negotiation was to shift the production from Suzhou, China to Taiwan because of security concerns on the actuations of the Republic of China. Okay. And this has been discussed by the Commission and Bank, and really we feel that it's best to take the utmost precautions to make sure that the elections proceed in 2016. For purposes based on these contracts, Your Honor, the scheduled delivery dates of the VCMs are scheduled in the staggered rates from September 2015 to January 2016. Also, one concern for the rush delivery is because of concerns on China. Okay. Now, there are also other items that we have yet to procure, Your Honor, like for the hardware for the consolidation and canvassing system, as well as the servers such as the central server, backup server, and the associated peripherals like the data access system. We have a proposed ABC in the total amount of 156 million. This is subject for NBank approval, so we can start the bidding process already, Your Honor. There is also the issue of the National Technical Support Center, Your Honor, which will house the call center agents and which will also house the command center. The National Technical Support will answer technical issues arising from the field on election day, pre-election, during the final sealing and testing, during election day and post-election day. They will provide for technical solutions. The command center will answer issues whether the poll has opened, whether there is a breakout of peace and order issues. This is the ABC is expected to be 147 million. The preparation of the terms of reference is currently ongoing, and we intend to bid it out soon.
Commissioner,
Yes.
can you go back to the previous slide?
Balik.
Yan, yung inclusive of EMS, CCS, ballots, ballot boxes. So, you're telling us that the contract price, that amount of 8 billion is inclusive of that, di ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
But can you also present it that way, yung sa next slide na medyo separated sila? So, kunyari, if I want to know how much is how much did it cost you for the EMS? Malalaman din ba natin?
Meron
for
po
the CCS.
sa
for the-
financial bid summary, Your Honor. We can submit that document
Yes,
to you.
parang
medyo.
yung look at the next slide. Kung ganun sana, if you can, yan,
Ay,
ganun. Ganyan sana ba na
sige.
EMS, CCS,
We don't have
ballot-
the
ballot
slide for
boxes,
that, Your
yeah,
Honor,
I
but
mean-
we have the documents for that. We can submit that.
Yeah,
Your
submit
Honor.
to the-
And
to
we can
the
also
panel.
prepare a slide for that for the next JCOC, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor. For the warehouse services, which will cover the configuration and the warehousing of the new machines, you have a approved ABC of 89,223,793.40. The TOR is presently being prepared, Your Honor, and the NBank has given a go signal to have it bidded out, Your Honor. For the deployment services, which will cover the deployment of the official ballots, will cover deployment of the machines. The approved budget for that, Your Honor, is 1.623 billion. This is based on what is approved by Congress. We are currently preparing the TOR for the bidding for the deployment services, Your Honor. For the transmission, which is the election result transmission solutions, management and services, the ABC is 558 million. In fact, we have already 2 failed biddings, and we have decided to pursue a parallel track. One is a negotiated procurement arising from 2 failed biddings under Republic Act 9184, and the other is we have been meeting with DOST to be the project manager for the transmission services. We have also been meeting with the 2 telecom companies, that is PLDT Smart and Globe Telecoms, to see how the transmission will be handled, Your Honor. We will give you further updates on the results of the transmission, but as of now, we do not have transmission. The next item, Your Honor, is the EDCVL, the Election Day Computerized Voters List. That's what we have presented. We have proposed an ABC of 3.427 million pesos. This is currently undergoing a market survey by the BAC, which will report to the NBank. And once submitted to the NBank, we will approve it, and we can start the bidding process for the printing of the EDCVL.
Congressman Barsaga still pursues his proposal to have 2 copies. Even if you can post it online, 2.
Yeah.
Siguro mag 6.8, that should be reasonable for to have 2 copies. If you fear the destruction of the one and only copy, then we should have a backup copy. Tingnan nyo.
Yes, Your Honor.
Unless yung supplies ang magugulatin nyo kami sa cost ng supplies. Hindi naman
siguro,
hindi
sir.
naman.
No.
Yes, Ms. Jimenez.
Hello, good morning, sir. Now that we have Smartmatic again providing the PCOS machines, and this time new ones, no? We're going to list them. I would like to ask on the matter of warehousing. That means that we will be also housing the new set of machines. What happens now to the machines that were rejected because they are no longer to be refurbished? They are also going to house them. At what cost? Because the machines that are not going to be refurbished will cost another 163 million pesos a year housing. Is that true? How much will the housing cost for the old machines? Now we will have another warehousing services for the new set of machines. May I ask how Comelec will undertake the housing? Mabuti pa nga sila, i-house sila, aircon pa. Ano ngayon ang gagawin natin sa mga makina na hindi gagamitin sa 2016?
Chair, can we just respond?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, would it be, because I think, well, we were talking about the EDCVL, and all of a sudden we're jumping now to, I think we have a present.
Okay, sige, okay. Anyway, just keep the question in mind. So
Sige,
for response later, depende.
Okay.
Pero yung warehousing services na 89, I think yan naman yung tinutumbok ng question. Ano yan? For how long? Warehousing services? Ano ba?
What's 1 year, Your Honor? 1 year. 1 year.
From what time to what time?
From the time you actually
September?
we still have to bid it out. So
Okay,
we don't
wala
know.
pa. Okay. Pero ang plano, of course, September, when the machines start to arrive. Tama?
Yes, Your Honor.
No, hindi September kasi sa September, konti pa lang eh. So
Konti
we're
pa lang?
looking more at November, di ba?
November. Sige.
Oh, si Commissioner Guanzon.
Commissioner Guanzon.
Just to briefly reply to what the question of, was it 165 million? Is that you're referring to? Yes. Well,
The old machines.
Yes, that is the 89.2 million now, because the NBank reviewed the ABC of that winning bidder, and we rejected that. We did not. The NBank canceled that. We did not award the winning bidder at 165 million. And upon review of the warehouse services, which I personally reviewed, we came up with several options, including buying the small items like CCTV, tables and chairs we will manufacture. So we have reduced it to 89.2 million, ma'am. It's not 165 million anymore.
Okay, I think the 160 plus was for the 80,000. Anyway, just also check the figure na lang. Continue, sir, so we can finish the presentation.
Taken up EDCVL. Next slide, please. Currently, right now, Your Honor, we are undergoing the customization of the vote counting machine and EMS software. We expect to finish that by December 1 of 2015, Your Honor. Next slide, please. For the source code review, Your Honor, of the election management system, consolidation canvassing system, and vote counting machine source code, the base and customized source codes, based on our projections, we intend to conduct the third-party source code review on October 1, 2015. Based on our guidelines, the last day to file a request to review will be September 22. The venue will be De La Salle University in Taft Avenue. And for the final customized source code, we'll open the review on February of 2016, Your Honor.
For my education, so there will be 3 source codes to be reviewed.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you mean to say cada software, EMS, CCS, and VCM, they each have a source code.
Yes, Your Honor.
And there are 2 kinds of source codes per software. There's a base source code and a customized source code.
Yes, Your Honor, because part of the conditions of the TOR is that the winning bidder should submit the base source code. When you say base, Your Honor, that's the starter, let's say the starter, the source code that's unaltered. No?
Okay.
And of course, it has to be customized to fit into the requirements of Philippine elections, Your Honor.
Correct.
But we will open up the base source code based on the ruling of the Senpeg versus Comelec, wherein the Supreme Court ruled that the Comelec should make available within 60 days from award the source code. So since what is available is the base source code, Your Honor, that's what will make it available, Your Honor.
So 3 base source codes are now available for source code review.
Yes, Your Honor.
September 22 is the deadline.
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, we already have the source code submitted by Smartmatic with us for the 3.
Oh, yeah,
It's ready with us.
pero plural yun, ano? Base source codes. Tatlo kasi yung systems,
Yes,
right?
yes, Your
Okay.
Honor.
So when will we have the customized source codes of each system?
The final, we call it the final trusted build, will be delivered by Systes Labs Global on December 30. Although we projected this February 2016, but we're also looking if it's possible to open up even much earlier, Your Honor.
Why are you mentioning a different entity? Ano yun?
Systes Labs Incorporated.
Di ba Systes Labs?
That's the international certification entity, Your Honor.
What did it review?
We will show
We
you.
will show that.
Meron.
meron.
Okay. Sige, Commissioner Lagman.
Clarification lang. So if they're going to customize the source code, that means the customized source code would yet be untried. By the definition of Comelec for many years, that would be untried.
Take note of the comment and then react after you have studied the comment in the next. Kami rin, we are also digesting the comment. Untried, is the term, sir, na untried.
Untested, Mr.
Pero tama ba yun na even the customized source code must be reviewed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Even by the international
yes,
certified
and
entity?
certified by the TEC, Your Honor.
So February, would there still be time to review?
Yes, Your Honor. If you have started the base source code, then when you reach the customized, then more or less you will just see the changes being made to the source code. So you will have the entire process. The base is really starting. That now you will see. Then you can also see the changes being made.
Okay, ganito. Can you write down your questions muna so that you will not forget? Write down because we will let Comelec finish. Then after the presentation, we'll entertain the questions. Sige, Commissioner Lim, please go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Next slide, please. Now, for the international certification, Your Honor, based on the shortlist of 4 entities being submitted by the Comelec Advisory Council, only 2 participated in the limited source bidding, Your Honor. That is SLI Global Solutions of Denver, Colorado, and NTS Huntsville of National Technical Systems of Kentucky, Your Honor. Based on the submissions of both companies, the lowest calculated bid was SLI Global Solutions Incorporated of $766,375 US, while NTS Huntsville was $844,731 US, and the Technical Evaluation Committee recommended that the Commission contract the services of SLI Global Solutions. Next slide, please. On August 28, 2015, there was a contract signing and turnover of the EMS and VCM source codes to Sistes Labs, Your Honor. We expect the initial delivery of the trusted build on December 15, 2015, because that is when we will also conduct our field test, Your Honor. The Sistes Labs will conduct a series of 24 primary sets of tests, namely, number 1, hardware testing, electrical, environmental, print legibility, and 14-hour battery backup power test, source code audit and review, system documentation review, configuration audit, readiness testing, reading consistency testing, ballot security testing, ballot image testing, vote secrecy testing, mark sensitivity test, ballot testing, accuracy and reliability testing, system integration test, which is an end-to-end test, security testing, data encryption, decryption testing, digital signature testing, access levels testing, data retention and storage testing, data backup testing, volume testing, stress test, error handling and error recovery testing, system auditability, and the final trust and build. We expect that based on the certification that will be issued by Sistes Labs, this will be used by the Technical Evaluation Committee, which is mandated by Republic Act 9369 to come up with a report and certification 90 days before election, that is on or before February 8, Your Honor. Now, the next slides, Your Honor, if you will see, is the breakup of the particular test that will be conducted. As I mentioned, there was 24 tests. Like for example, for the battery backup power test, this will be the series of tests conducted for each component, Your Honor. I will not read them one by one anymore, Your Honor. Let's say for the environmental test, it will cover humidity, high temperature, bench handling, vibration, dust test, rain drip test. Next slide, please. Also for, let's say, for print legibility, subjects print out to various UV lights, exposures to a range of hot and humid environments, testing for fading and degradation of the data printed on the ballot, along with legibility for a simulated 6-year period. The battery is also part of the bundle of the next slide, please. This is for the source code audit and review, Your Honor. of all proprietary source codes, modified COTS products for compliance with the BVSG and RA 9369, firmware and software of EMS, CCS, and VCM, and any other miscellaneous components. It will be subjected to various tools to determine possible security risk, how it reacts to errors, issues of overflows, penetration attacks, and unauthorized insertions of the code. Next slide, please. For source code audit and review, it will be review of the algorithms and policies as reviewed to validate the correct implementation, and most importantly, to ensure that the code contains no hidden functionality such as Trojan horses, conditional compilation flags, test flags, or hardcore passwords. The source code review tools utilized by SLI includes LockMetric Line Counter, Module Finder, Parasoft, CC++, Exam Different Flow, and Fortify. For the marking and sensitivity test, it will be a test of how the scanning devices handle wet ink or any other foreign object on a scanned ballot will be conducted. For the accuracy testing, Your Honor, the ability of the system to capture, record, store, consolidate, and report the specific selections and absence of selections made by the voter for each ballot position without error, conducted at both device and system levels. For 2013, Your Honor, the SysTest Labs certified that for this test, 9,600 ballots were scanned using 8 different ballot styles. Vote totals matched the expected results of the scanning for a 100% accuracy return. Next slide, please. Part of the test will also include electronic transmission, determine whether or not the system will be able to handle the projected transmittal rates and the results of the election day. To simulate the various transmission rates for performance, load, volume, and stress testing, Your Honor. The simulated network will also allow performance of all electrical, functional, security, and performance testing, as well as network monitoring, scanning, sniffing, and encrypted strength analysis and simulating various network attacks. And also the systems integration tests, which is end-to-end testing, will be also conducted, Your Honor, following all pre-election day and post-election day. That the system can be used to perform its job following the exact set of processes and steps that will be used by the end user. Next slide, please. For the data retention tests is to check if the storage device used by the data can be, first of all, simultaneously stored on the redundant storage data, and that the storage data can be utilized to continue system operations in situations of malfunctions or data error on the primary implementation. For the error handling and error recovery tests, we focus on the key areas of the systems identified from researching previous testing and voting systems documentation to help identify the potential failure points. So the stress on the system, incorrect settings, incorrect data inputs, incorrect data outputs, corrupted data errors, errors in creation of media components, device startup errors, transmission errors, and system integrator errors. Part of the test, as made famous by our bids and awards committee, is that we will pull the plug on the machine and see how the machine will react without power. Next slide, please. The ballot printing initially was bundled with the terms of reference, Your Honor, because we are not. We wanted to ensure full compatibility with between the ballots being supplied with the machine, Your Honor. But we want to report that Smartmatic, the Comelec, and the National Printing Office have met last Tuesday. Last Tuesday, yeah. And we have insisted that it will be the NPO using the NPO printers to print, for printing services, to print the official ballots, Your Honor. In fact, the NPO can verify they are present right now, Your Honor, in Smartmatic, and we are undergoing discussions regarding the printing services of the official ballots, Your Honor. Next slide, please. That ends my presentation, Your Honor.
Congressman Barsaga.
Yes. Okay. Well, my first inquiry would be with regard to the list of all new voting counting machines. Well, As presented, the delivery shall start from September 2015 up to January 2016. My inquiry is whether or not you have a schedule. Insofar as delivery is concerned, in order to find out whether or not delivery is being made on time.
You mean schedule, Your Honor, schedule as to...
How many PCOS will be OMR, how many machines will be delivered in September, in October, in November, in December, up to January 2016.
I can submit the data, Your Honor. I just don't, it's not part of the presentation, but like if I can recall, of the 23,000 units, there will be 5 units that will be delivered at the end of September. Then for October, I think it's about 200 units. Then by November, it will be 6,000 units. Then another 6,000 by December, Your Honor.
So the total would be...
For the 23,000, Your Honor. But for the 70,000, it will be on a higher volume, Your Honor. Like in November, we will reach a peak of about 17,500. Then by December...
We want to find out.
So that we can submit the...
So that we will
the
not
data,
be
Your Honor.
surprised later on if several months before the election we'll be hearing the report that there was... delivery was not made on time. Everybody will be in panic mood.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's right.
And I assume that the 20...
Sorry, Your Honor, if I may just add, just to emphasize on that point that you raised, one of the reasons why the NBank decided for the lease of all new machines was because of the timetable, no? And Smartmatic has committed that all 93,977 machines will be in the Philippines by January 31. So that is their commitment.
Yes. Kaya nga gusto lang namin malaman ano ba ang proposed schedule ng Smartmatic at ito ba ay tinanggap ng Comelec so that we will know whether or not delivery of the 93,977 BCMs are being made on time. Okay?
We will submit that, Your Honor.
Okay. Another point is that...
Congressman, at this point, I would like to acknowledge Senator Bam Aquino for the Senate panel. So we now have a quorum officially. Thank you, Senator Aquino. Go ahead.
Well, another point will be the election result transmission solutions management services. 2 failed biddings. Well, we have conducted automated election system in 2010 and 2013. And in both cases, we have election result transmission. Could you please enlighten us, ano ba ang dahilan na nagkaroon ng failed biddings? Although, alam na natin na ingredient tong transmission in every automated election which we had during the past 2 elections.
The first bidding, Your Honor, I think nobody participated in the first round of bidding.
Did you make an assessment as to what was the reason, if any, why they did not participate in the bidding? Masyado bang mababa ang costing nila o masyadong mataas ang inyong requirement kaya hindi sila nag-participate sa transmission?
Ang common namin naririnig po, Your Honor, is 2 grounds. No? Una, yung costing, mababa. At pangalawa, yung requirements sa TOR to ensure 100% transmission. Imposible daw yon.
So, meaning to say, yung sinasabi lang imposible, magiging posible kaya yun in the event that you will enter into a negotiated contract or an interagency agreement?
Hindi rin. Actually, we met with the telecoms and they were able to inform us that they cannot also ensure that there will be a signal on a particular place at a particular time on a particular day.
So what is the alternative plan kung di natin makukuha ang 100% transmission? Right now, we have 3 presidential candidates. Baka pumasok pa si Digong. Pag-apat yan, talagang close fight yan.
Actually, Your Honor, we have also starting to prepare the contingency measures.
That
Your
we have to know. The public has to know. Most especially
yes.
the candidates.
Actually, yung isa, Your Honor, no? Yung contingency measures, Your Honor, that has to be also been certified by the Technical and Evaluation Committee on Feb 8, no? But ang isang pong balak namin is sa bawat, and it's contained in Resolution 9980, is that we intend to provision a machine at the canvassing center such that there will be that the BI, if in case of failure, will have to use that machine at the canvassing center to transmit the results rather than manually upload it, Your Honor. So we'll have a higher transmission rate. No, because in what we notice that in most municipalities, Your Honor, they have the chances of transmitting at the municipal canvassing level is higher as compared to the precincts. No, so that's one contingency, Your Honor. But as to the rest of the contingency, that will be also dependent on the final outcome of the transmission service, Your Honor.
So this committee would just expect an update
Yes, Your
regarding
Honor.
this issue.
Yes.
Okay, that would be all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Our BSP resource persons have requested that they be excused earlier. So if you have questions addressed to the BSP, what's the role of the BSP in the upcoming elections? Can we be clarified, ma'am?
If I may, Your Honor.
Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas.
Actually, to
Aside from the aside from the notes being distributed during elections, what is the participation of the BSP?
Okay. First of all, Your Honor, under Republic Act 9369, the law provides two official printers. It's either the BSP or the NPO. Now, we have written to BSP requesting if they could possibly print, and they have replied to us that they are not printing the official ballots. No, so it leaves only NPO. No. And the second portion, Your Honor, under the administrative code, that upon probable cause, the commission and bank can require the BSP to disclose financial records of candidates. No, siguro that's as far as the in terms of source code review, when the final source code will be delivered, we will deposit it at the BSP, Your Honor.
Congressman Barsaga.
Another relevant point, Mr. Chairman. During the 2013 elections, a very noble act was made by Chairman Brillantes, prohibiting withdrawals of approximately cash of 200,000 pesos several days before the election. And I think the case even reached the Supreme Court. So insofar as the BSP is concerned, if the present Commission on Election would have the same view, as much as possible to control or minimize vote buying by limiting the cash withdrawal, what would be the pertinent provisions under existing laws? Because in that particular case, I think the businessmen complain. Para hindi na kami mabigla ang publiko and even the candidates and even all the persons involved. Ano ba talaga ang batas dyan?
Mr. Chairman, for Bangko Sentral, especially the security plant complex, our mandate is only for the printing of the currency, the banknotes, Mr. Chairman.
We will direct the question to your legal department for
Yes,
possible
Mr. Chairman.
response. So, okay, can I summarize? So, under the law, printing of ballots, either NPO or BSP, and Comelec has chosen NPO. So,
Yes, Your Honor.
so as far as printing of ballots,
Well, although, Your Honor, because BSP said that they can't do it.
yeah, right.
So, parang walang choice. ang
Okay na,
Comelec.
so BSP is out of the picture as far as printing is concerned. Second role would be to physically take custody of the source codes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Plural, ano? Source codes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so and that will happen soon. Wala pa sa kanila ngayon, ano?
Wala pa yung final source code, Your Honor.
Ayun, the final
Nagagamitin.
one will be held. And then what's the third one? The role nila?
Yung we can direct the BSP
okay.
to examine the financial records of the candidates, Your Honor.
Okay, so that needs the order from the Comelec. Okay. So if that is the case, we can probably let them go. May question pa sa BSP ka. Sige, sige.
Yeah, just one question
Ms.
before you
Jimenez, then
leave,
Commissioner
Madam.
Lagman.
What happens now to the old source code that were deposited in escrow with the BSP? We're talking about the old because now we have new PCOS machines, and certainly the new and the old are different in the 2010 and 2013 elections.
Right now, Mr. Chairman, they are still intact with BSP.
Okay, in relation to that, so another set of source codes will be deposited in escrow with the BSP after the review supposedly to be done.
We can still accept for safekeeping subject to the monetary board approval, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, but that's under the law. So
under
most
the
likely
law.
it will be approved, no? Okay, so do you confirm that you have source codes, the old source codes in your custody? Plural, hindi lang isa. Codes po
Mr.
ito.
Chairman, so these were for the source codes for 2010 and
2013. Okay, so Commissioner Lagmat.
If I may suggest to the BSP, I think you can throw those CDs away. You can throw them away because it was proven in the case between Dominion and Smartmatic that Smartmatic does not have a copy of those source codes. So I don't know what they gave the BSP. So they're really garbage. So.
Okay, anyway, no. Anyway, Commissioner Lagman cannot direct the BSP to throw them away. Ano lang po yun? Just for the record. Yes, Mr.
Yeah, just for the
Casino.
record, Mr. Chairman, since they admitted that they have the source codes intact for 2010 and 2013, may we request what will be the procedure to verify why did in 2010 the transmission of the machines provided by the supplier ended up with the figure 256 million registered voters, and admitted by the supplier that there was an error in application. So again, in 2013, there were some anomalies there. But so, that being said, we would like to know if BSP can provide us information as whether that source code, which is deposited in escrow, is still intact in 2010, are the same source code that this vendor supplied the Philippine government that gave us that inaccurate transmission of 256 million registered voters, which was admitted jointly with both houses, no less than Senate President Juan Ponce really declaring it in public and saying that this figure is rather anomalous and might determine whether there was fraud that occurred during that period. And now that we hear from our honorable gentlemen, women here from the Comelec, they'll be conducting the source code review. We would like to know, after they've done the source code review during the election again in 2016, if some similar errors do occur, what happens to those source codes? Do we get to verify them again? And does the civil society get to understand what are the reasons besides these errors? Aside from them, Mr. Chairman, there were other errors such as wrong system date. There was also errors such as a transmission that delayed for 4 hours, and they were blaming the telcos that were the ones had the fault. When, of course, it could be a software that was also at fault here. And of course, we are aware that the ultraviolet light embedded into the PCOS were not used. We have no reason why they were not enabled in 2010. And again, they said they used it in 2013. We do not know. Of course, there was also no digital signature in 2010 and 2013. Now they have it already on a source code review. And then they're going to do transmission. So we all understand that the conclusion of the election is on the canvassing, the CCS. Now the voting on the ground is, okay, we will see that it works efficiently, but we like to see whether it does succeed at the end. Because bottom line, Mr. Chair, we're looking at the competency of this vendor. This vendor has proven its inefficiency in 2010 and again in 2013, and they're the same vendor that's going to do this in 2016. So highly questionable because there are already 9 petitions pending the Supreme Court as we speak, submitted only from 2013 onwards. So there are this development going on simultaneously while this 2016 election is very critical to our country's democracy, and we're pending ourselves to a mere vendor. And I think there's a statement here from the community, us in the IT industry, Mr. Chairman, not the legal section. Thank you.
It's good that you've filed cases, so we will allow, of course, without any interference, the Supreme Court to resolve the pending cases. So, can we let the BSP representatives go? I don't think they can answer the contents of the source code. You did not touch them, and you're not allowed to touch them. So, meron pa bang question to the BSP? So, because we want to let them go.
Yes, please. Another, Madam, sorry. Would you have any way, aside from receiving the CDs of the source codes that had been reviewed, a way of verification? No. Okay. In relation to that, what we are trying to say here is that the source codes that will be reviewed again for 2016 are not the same source codes that had been used in 2010 and 2013 because the owner of the source codes, the program itself, is owned by Dominion. Right now, we would like to ask that later on, that the system that is going to be reviewed is no longer owned by Dominion but by Smartmatic as a separate vendor. So we are asking about the certified system that will be reviewed. And this will be, of course, after the review, will be again deposited in escrow with the BSP. I don't think you would be able to answer that, of course, but just keep in mind, Madam, that you are the trusted, safekeeper of these codes, and that you do not have anything to do about the fraud-related, the codes that would be reviewed by Comelec and on the third certification agency, that is SLI.
Chairman Bautista, can you inform this panel what are the rules now regarding the old source codes? Ano ba yun? Are those still protected intellectual property, or can you release them to schools for academic study? What are the rules now on the old source codes? Okay lang yan, hawak pa rin ng BSP to keep them intact, no? But what can we do with them?
We will look into that, Mr. Chairman.
Please inform the panel. Mr. Garcia of Smartmatic Asia.
Good morning, Your Honor. I don't want to engage along this discussion here. I think that this topic regarding source code review, whether it was accurate or not, it has been discussed in all the previous hearings. But just to clarify how the process is, the system is certified by an international entity which is licensed to certify voting systems. All of this, all of our software has been certified 2010, 2013. After this international entity reviewed the source codes, they generated what is called the trusted build. And out of those processes, we have the hash codes. We have already discussed before what the hash code is, which is basically some ID that tells us whether something changed or not. So for all of those, there are legal documents that certify these are the source codes that were reviewed. These are the hash codes corresponding to those source codes. And after the elections, I remember after 2010, there was a post-election review of the contents of the machines. The hashes were validated, and it was certified that the same application was the one that was certified. So there was no change. That was also validated against what was deposited in escrow, so it hasn't changed. Just to clarify the integrity of the source code.
All of what you stated can be subjected to another study. So, can we let them go?
One comment, Mr. Chair, just to rebut.
No, teka, Mr. Casino. So, the BSP, they want to go na. Okay lang? Do you need information from the BSP representatives?
Yeah. Well, also include that on the CF cards as well. The mismatch 1 week before, they have a copy of the source code. We would like also to have that on record to be reviewed by this body. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Again, hindi ko nakuha.
If possible, if we can review, we could have some set of a hearing and to understand what's the report on the source code that was already put in escrow with BSP. Are they similarly the ones used during election, which is under the law?
Ayun na nga.
And then we will pursue this.
We can determine the hash number.
Yes, as what is being said here, so that we can know
Kasi
that
the hash number of the, let us say, the software in the PCOS machine is published. We know it, right? It's published.
Yes,
so
it was a
that was
public
published,
document.
let us say, 2010. So
Yes,
we
sir.
know it. If we now are able to access, depending on the rules of the Comelec, if they allow the access of that 2010 source code for the PCOS machine, we can now get the hash number. Right? No.
No, because one thing is the source code itself, and then it goes through a process that is called the compilation to generate binary files. The hash codes of the source code itself, it was with the SLI, so the document is probably with Comelec, with the contract between Comelec and SLI, and what was published was the hash code of the resulting binary files to be installed in the machines. Because one thing is the human readable code, and the other one is the machine readable code. Okay?
That is the case, Mr. Chairman. What is the value of all the exercise? Now, there is no way naman pala. I mean, what is the value of all of this exercise of storing the source code, pag i-examinin pala yan with the hash number? automatic na pala na it should not match the hash number of the final software used because there was something done on top of the source code. So, what's the value of the entire exercise?
Well, Mr. Chairman, again, this is in connection with the 2010 elections, right?
Right,
And
we're learning. Kasi we're doing,
which is fine.
because actually we're doing exactly the same things.
And, well, it's a fair point. I think that if we want to now compare that source code 2010 with what actually happened, and if the committee wishes to undertake this activity,
kasi ang point ko, hash number is publicized, so we make a big deal out of it, but we cannot compare it with any other number because sige, Mr. Garcia, then Dr. Yu will help us understand.
If I may, sir, there is a direct connection between one and the other. Why? For you to generate the binary file, which is the machine readable, you need a source, okay? And that source, if it changes, also the outcome of the other will change. So you have a way to validate. When you generated the binary file, it was in the presence of the political parties as a part of the trusted build process. So all the witnesses and all the participants of the trusted build process should have a copy of the hashes of those source code that are inscribed with the Banco Central. So if you validate the hashes of those and validate the hashes of the application inside the machine, you can connect both. So yes, definitely you need to keep both.
For you?
So just to clarify, so this is the 2010 elections. In January of 2010, there was a trusted build activity done within the Comelec premises, I believe at the PMO. Part of the trusted build process is to generate the hash code for the source code, do the trusted build, and generate the hash code for the trusted build. So we have two sets of hash codes. If we compare the source code of the during the trusted build for the hash code of the source code, that should match the source code that is deposited in the Bangko Central. So we can review that document that was actually well publicized. So both, and that was also done in 2013. Thank you.
Okay, the hash code of the source code in the possession of the Comelec, once we generate it, can be compared to a previously published hash code for the source code. Tama? Tama,
Yes,
Ben? Is
sir.
that what you're trying to tell us? There's a
Yes.
previously published hash number. Ano natin? Compare. We can
Yes,
compare.
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
The hash code of the trusted build, saan mo siya i-compare?
The hash code of the trusted build is compared to the code that is running inside the machine. So there is a process in which the source code transforms into the binary code.
Okay.
That's the trusted build. So the one in Bangko Central, source code yan, we compare it to the column that says source code hash code.
Okay.
Then there is a separate column that is build hash code. That is
Oh.
the one that's loaded inside the machine.
Yeah, but who extracted the hash code of a certain number of machines to compare the number with the trusted build number?
In 2010, there was an exercise in the Senate because of the 60 antipolo machines that were found somewhere. And part of that activity, which we also watched, was basically to extract the code from the machine to compare if the binary code for the program is the same as the published trusted build hash codes.
Salt.
It was the same, sir.
Okay, we will look at the transcript. Okay, we will look at the transcript, but that is what you remember, no? And anyway,
It's not the same. It's not the same.
now we will look at the
Yeah.
transcript because he was referring to. But we can still subject. Pero wala na yata eh. What we can subject to an academic study would be the source code kasi hawak pa. But yung sa trusted build noong 2010, wala na? Wala na yun, ano? May machines pa ba na used in 2010 where we can extract the...
We should ask the Comelec that question.
The
But in
Comelec,
2010, they reused the machines sa 2013. Eh.
Mm.
So in 2013, the newer 2013, or actually 2011 version was used in the 2013 election.
Ibang
So-
number na yun.
Yes, sir. It will not
It will
be the same.
generate. Anyway, basta keep that in mind. No? So Comelec will await the rules which should govern the disposition or allowing the source code in the custody of the SWA for study. Yes, ma'am. Assistant Governor Luna.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, before we will be allowed to leave, we would just to make a clarification that the Bangko Central's role is only for the safekeeping of this source code. And we have nothing to do with any review of this as per the law. So we just want to make this on record, Mr. Chairman.
We confirm the statement
Yes.
of the BSP, Your Honor.
Yes, and we can also check the law. Mukhang, if I remember, that's in the law. It's specifically. Hindi lang Comelec regulation to, right? It's in the law. So, thank you to our BSP representatives. Thank you for your attendance this morning. Okay, so shall we now proceed?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Kerubin?
just 3 questions, Mr. Chair, on the presentation. Number 1, is the implementation strategy for the warehousing centralized or decentralized? Because this will impact the cost of the deployment. No? My second question is that, is Comelec aware that the license of SLI was at one point rescinded by the Election Assistance Commission because it was caught conniving with an election vendor? So was it put into consideration when selecting SLI? And my third question, since Comelec announced that China may sabotage the elections in 2016, can the Comelec get certifications from all its suppliers that all equipment that will be used, like the battery, the test equipment, are not made in China? Thank you.
Since you mentioned that already also in your presentation, can we respond to the 3 points? Warehousing, ano bang point mo, Mr. Kerubin? Regionalizing would be...
Well, if we order the PCOS from Taiwan, maybe it can be delivered directly to certain regional hubs rather than in Metro Manila. And that way, then the deployment cost might actually be lesser.
Okay. So for ano na lang yan, treat it as a suggestion for your study. But I'm sure ngayon, centralized, no? The idea is one. Yes. Okay. So next question is...
My next question is Comelec aware that SLI's license...
do you have more details about what case?
I think they were caught in an email conniving with one election vendor in the U.S. while it's being reviewed.
In what particular? Give us, please.
Yes,
are you aware of that case?
We have heard reports of that, but as of the date when we awarded to SLI, they're accredited by the Election Assistance Commission of the United States. They maintain their accreditation. If it was revoked, then it was restored.
So it really happened. So the third one is
can we get certifications from all
yung
suppliers?
China, yes, the Commissioner Lim, I think you're the source of this information.
Yeah,
so actually in your presentation you said manufacturing of the machines would be transferred to Taiwan.
Yes, Your Honor.
Upon orders of the Comelec or Smartmatic itself?
We made it part of the contract negotiations. Initially, they intended to produce it in Suzhou, China, but we wanted them to transfer outside China.
So parang the question is, if you can do that for the machines, are you also doing that as part of the terms in your contracts with the other suppliers?
Like for example, Mr. Chair, like the test equipment that's being used by SLI in the U.S., some parts of it might actually be made from China. So if they can do that with the PCOS, if China really has intentions, then we should really put a stop to all direct involvement. Again, that's the...
So can we just treat it as a suggestion na lang din, Mr. Kerubin?
Yes,
Parang suggestion lang din.
Tsaka naman, Mr. Chairman, yes, we will treat it as a suggestion. And again, after all is said and done, the machines will be shipped to the Philippines and they will be tested here in the Philippines and they have to work. And again, we hope to bring the machines here, by the way, in this committee so that you can see it and we will have an actual demonstration of its use.
The first one, September. September ba ang delivery?
That's initial 5 units, Your Honor, but most of that will be given to, 1 unit will be given to the TEC, and the 4 units will be to SLI.
The next batch, okay?
Next batch.
Si Attorney Chong pa, hindi pa nagsasalita. Congressman Chong.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to ask with respect to the costing of the 23,000 units and 70,977 new OMR or new variant PCOS. It says about 8 billion pesos. But if you look at Comelec with Resolution 15-0444 dated June 2, 2015, in item 1 with respect to the 23,000, there's an item there which is other costs about 1 billion pesos, a little more than 1 billion pesos. And in item 2, with respect to the 70,977, merong nakalagay other costs about 3 billion pesos, which, if you will add it all up, would bring the whole enterprise into 12.641 billion pesos all in all. May I ask the Comelec what these other costs mean? Because that's about 4.64. Kasi yung isa, sir, 23,000, may 1 billion na other costs. With respect to the 70,000, mayroong 3.24 billion pesos.
So we can, the resolution number is not familiar. Can you provide us a copy? So we
I
can
will
comment?
I will submit a copy of resolution.
We will just comment on that. Your Honor.
15-0444. The second point, sir, is with respect to the transmission problems. In 2010, 9% of all PCOS operating on election day were not able to transmit. Specifically, we computed it around about 6,840 precincts. In Biliran, out of 166 PCOS operating on election day, only 53 were able to transmit. And these are all documented. That is less than one-third, Mr. Garcia. Now, on the other hand, when the 2013 elections came by, 23% of the PCOS failed. That's 1 in every 4 PCOS unable to transmit. The question, it has been raised already by Senator Enrile that 18,487 PCOS were unable to transmit. Nung tinanong ho natin dito, Mr. Chair, in this committee hearing sometime last year, sinabi ho ng telcos, yung dalawa, sinabi they provided 100% connectivity. Ang point ko kasi is that merong mga independent operators in the field that would actually jam the signals to be able to hold. The purpose is to jam the signal because when the signal is jammed, you will not be able to transmit anything. And without an electronic transmission, you will hold the official canvassing. Pwede mong pigilan ng official canvassing. This is manual manipulation. Pipigilan mo yung official canvassing from being concluded. Well, pwede kang humabol if in case the presumptive margin is not so much. Pwede kang humabol using flying voters voting around in predetermined precincts. And Mr. Chair, if you will allow, sir, this was the case in Biliran, and now we have exactly found the same case in Barangay MacArthur in Tudela, Cebu. This is an island province. This is an island in Camotes. That's wedged between Bohol, Samar, and Leyte. Leyte, Bohol, and Cebu. It's a small island. I have a presentation, sir, if you will allow. That's about only 5 minutes, but you will see the progression. If you will allow, sir.
We pursue that in other matters. Okay, but Chairman, di ba, I already raised also the issue of Congressman Chong before if we can learn lessons, yun yung failure to transmit in Biliran. May allegation ka pa nga yata na twice?
Actually,
twice,
sir,
mga ganon?
7 precincts were documented to have transmitted twice. But the problem is that the second transmission, all of those 7 precincts were already physically shut down.
Yun
At makikita mo yun yung comparison between the CCS and the PCOS. And there is no better proof than the documentary evidence itself.
Ganito kasi, it's too late to alter the result of that 2010 election. So lessons learned na lang if we could learn lessons. Congressman Barsaga wants to say something.
Well, just a follow-up. Kanina ang sabi natin, nagkaroon ng failure sa bidding ng transmission because yung mga participants, they cannot guarantee 100% transmission. And as a matter of fact, I even asked na kung sakasakali ba magkakaroon tayo ng negotiated procurement or interagency agreement, shall we be able to have 100% transmission? And Commissioner Lim, the senior commissioner, has stated, hindi rin sigurado. So, on the part of the public and on the part of the candidates, definitely, I don't think that there will be 100% transmission on the night of the election. In case there will be failure in transmission in any precinct, in any part of the Philippines, ano ba ang backup plan ng Comelec? Ano alternatibo para yung purpose natin na magkaroon ng genuine elections reflecting the will of the people will be realized based on our past experiences?
Yung dating protocols po, Your Honor, is that pag may failure ng transmission, is that the BI is instructed to look for another precinct, the nearest precinct available wherein there is a signal, and they will transmit from that. Now, if that is not possible, Your Honor, they can proceed to the canvassing center. There is a ready available machine there, and they can use that machine to transmit to the canvassing. Now, if still that's not possible, they can manually upload the storage device to the canvassing computer, and the canvassing computer will extract the data from that, Your Honor.
Siguro magawa na lang kayo ng printout. or massive information in case there will be failure of transmission, ito ang procedure na saan yung gagawin ng mga opisyalis ng Comelec para naman hindi nabibigla yung mga followers at mga kandidato. Kasi pag may failure, ang impression, it is intentional. Although, in most cases, talaga namang unintentional.
Ang ano po, siguro ang isang pagbabago na gagawin namin sa itong election, kasi yung mga contingency measures, hindi yan kasama po sa training ng BEI. Now, what we intend to do is that for DBEI training, pati yung contingency, kasama na yan sa handouts po.
Pero dapat kasama yung contingency measures sa training nyo, sa BEI. We cannot assume that everything will be normal on election day or during the canvassing. Kaya kailangan, in the event that there are contingency measures, yung mga botante, pati na yung mga kandidato, and even the civil society should know.
Congressman Chong, the rule before was, in 2010, was that you have to complete, di ba? You have to complete the municipal results before you can transmit the municipal to the provincial. Yun yung before. Unless if the Comelec allows it by reducing the threshold. But what will be the rule now? Before the municipal can now transmit its results to the provincial, what is your rule? Must it be 100% all accounted for or meron ng certain percentage?
Mr. Chairman, pinag-aaralan nga namin yun as to whether or not that there was a resolution before that authorized nga the lowering of the threshold, no?
Dati, in 2010, if I remember correctly, case to case.
Pati 2013, meron din.
Case to case. You have to go to Comelec. But please report to us. Ha?
Well, we would be pleased to hear, ako personally, I would be pleased to hear what the comments of the members of the commission in respect of this rule about lowering the threshold.
Well, actually, insofar as the threshold is concerned, it is determined by the Comelec. Whether 10%, 20%, 30%. Right. Okay. Ngayon, ang problema namin, sa local level, there are cases na talaga nakakaroon ng problema ang PCOS machine. Sometimes, hindi lumalabas ang resulta. And the Comelec normally issues a resolution na you can proceed with the proclamation as long as the number of votes na hindi lumalabas ang resulta will not materially alter or affect the margin of victory of the local candidates. It happened in the city of Dasmariñas in 2010 and I think even in 2013. Parang 4 na PCOS. Tuloy ang aming proklamasyon. Sa amin okay lang yun. But what about in the provincial level and in the national level? If there are approximately 1,000 PCOS machine, which the result of which cannot be read, that will be very material insofar as the provincial or even the national candidates are concerned. So we want to know what would be the procedure of the Comelec in such cases. Yung nasisira PCOS machine, hindi lumalabas ang resulta, sasabihin ng election officer, pwede na niya, Mayor, Kong PD. Ito resolution ng Comelec, if not substantial, it will not materially affect the outcome of the election, we can proceed with the proclamation. Pero yung sa national at saka provincial level, how do we address that?
Understudy pa yan? Can we get a report in our future hearings? We want to know.
Sir Chair,
may I finish, Congressman Chong? Yes.
Thank you, sir. The first thing that the first part was about stopping the official canvassing from being concluded para humabol yung gustong mandaya. But that is really possible, and I can prove it if you want. However, the second part would be the switching of the CF card. We know that the CF card is the functional equivalent of the ballot box. Maliit na ho yun at madali hong maswitch yun. Now, as I have said, I have prepared a presentation. It's already, I will leave a copy with this committee, sir, so you can go over. Nandito ho yung summary at the first page and the supporting documents on the subsequent pages. Now, let me just state, for example, Barangay MacArthur in Tudela, Cebu. At the start of voting, the serial number was N609304000331. Then,
number of what?
The serial number of the CF card or the PCOS.
Okay.
But it's there, sir, if you want to show it, if you want to look at it. Then, nagbo-voting ho sila. Then there was a series of failures to transmit. Wala hong na-transmit. After 23 minutes, tumigil ang BEI. It's there in the supporting documents. Nawala ho yung PCOS for 4 hours and 31 minutes. Pagbalik ho, bago na ho ang serial number at N612886000538. 331 ho yun at the start of voting. 538 na at the start, at the commencement, after 4 hours and 31 minutes. Pag all the precincts in the municipality of Tudela, Cebu, province of Cebu, 13 precincts, all of them were not able to transmit. And surprisingly, there are abrupt stop. Biglang nagsa-shutdown yung makina, nawawala for 3 hours, 4 hours. Itong isa is 5 hours and 16 minutes na nawala. Yung isa is 4 hours and 20 minutes. There's a gap of several hours. Biglang namatay yung PCOS, pagbalik, buwela, lahat.
2013 po yan?
This is 2013, Your Honor.
Has this reached the attention of the Comelec that there was a problem or Congressman Chong, 13
Yes, sir.
precincts represent 100% of the precincts in Todela?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the allegation, Bale, is 100% of the precincts of that municipality did not transmit.
They were not able to transmit at the start.
At the start.
Then nawala sila bigla. There was a sudden suspicious gap of 4 hours and 9 minutes, 4 hours and 20 minutes, 3 hours and 49 minutes, 1 hour and 55 minutes, 2 hours and 35 minutes, 2 hours and 38 minutes, 3 hours and 1 minute, 4 hours and 42 minutes, 2 hours and 34 minutes, 1 hour and 22 minutes. May 5 hours pa, may 4 hours pa. All of them. Pero nakapag-transmit sila after this mysterious gaps of several hours.
Yung 5 hours, in effect, they tried transmitting mga 7 p.m. na yan, di ba? Upon the close of voting. Tama ba yung...
The first one that I made, sir, MacArthur Tudela, it was at 7:39 in the evening.
Ganun nga dapat yun, di ba? Is that the rule, Commissioner Lim? Tama yun, di ba? Di ba tapos na dapat ang voting before you transmit? 7 o'clock. So, kung 5 hours delay, that means 12 midnight na siya naka-transmit.
12:59.
Okay, so
but iba na ho yung serial number.
Okay.
Iba na ho, nagbago na ho yung serial number, so there's switching.
Congressman Barsaga has something to contribute.
Isang tanong lang, Kong Glenn. Diyan ba sa
Sir.
lugar na yan, nagkaroon ba ng protesta o kinwestiyon ba ang results ng halalan?
I think this was not protested, sir.
Kung walang protesta, ibig sabihin, tinatanggap ng mga kandidato ang resulta ng halalan.
I'm not aware, sir, but let me just state
that
this.
would be the logical and reasonable conclusion as a lawyer. And as an ordinary person.
Actually,
kasi
sir,
kung may dayaan, gawa niyang nangyari sa PCOS, definitely there will be protest, there even be gulo sa loob ng presinto. Pero kung walang protesta, tinatanggap siguro ng mga kandidato na talagang normal o fortuitous event ang pagkasira.
Sir, I
Yes.
have much respect for you. You have more experience with me as a lawyer than myself. But we have to admit that if you are unable to obtain evidence at that time at naubos ho yung 10 araw mo to file a protest, you will not be able to make a protest. Tama po ba?
Hindi naman siguro. There are other alternatives at saka tayong mga kandidato.
Sir.
Well, anyway, the answer is, okay na yung answer.
Answer
Okay.
is hindi. Anyway,
Sir.
at one point, I'm sure you're bringing this up so that the Comelec can look into what happened in Tudela, how come there was difficulty by 100% of the precincts to transmit.
Sir.
Yun eh.
If Your Honor, we can also be furnished a copy of the documents of Mr. Chong, so we can also take a look at
you
that.
can
Yes,
also
sir.
look at your own documents.
Sir,
Okay,
let-
Mr. Chong, please.
Let me finish, sir. With the end in view, yung sinabi ho ni Honorable Congressman Barsaga, way back in 2013 ho, sir, most of the candidates were already aware to obtain the PCOS audit log. Alam na ho nila yon, tsaka yung CCS print log. Alam ko marami yung request sa Comelec at tatanungin ko si Commissioner Lim kung meron hong ba silang pinagbigyan na hindi nagprotesta. Because alam ko, we in Biliran filed our request for those documents and they never gave us anything until today. So ang ibig kong sabihin, if you're not going to provide these documents to would-be protesting candidates, wala hong effective mechanism for redress. At hindi ho natin madidiscover yung dayaan, if ever. So my point here is, I'm speaking from experience and with evidence to move the Comelec to make the elections transparent and credible with enough mechanism for those who want to file a protest. Hindi ho pwedeng itago yung dokumento
So
na
from
yan.
experience, Congressman Chong, you requested formally in writing for 2 documents. Ano po yun?
Yes, sir. It was filed by Biliran Causa, the group
Ano po,
of people in
yung
Biliran.
NGO, ano po?
Yes, sir.
Audit logs.
Yung PCOS audit log at yung MDOC print log.
Print log.
Plus meron pa ho yung isa, yung system log.
So mingi kayo ng 3 dokumento.
Yes,
And were you officially denied by the Comelec
ang
access
sagot-
to the ano po
Ang sagot po
pagkasulat?
sa local Comelec is we will wait for the unbanked approval because may order sa kanila not to release.
Okay.
And
So, yun.
I'll just state this also for the record, sir. Let me state this also for the record in connection with that. I also wrote the office of the chairman in Chairman Bautista in May 15, natanggap po ng office niya, May 20, 2015, humingi ho kami ng 40 CF cards, 10 in Luzon, 10 in Visayas, and 10 in Mindanao, plus 10 in Metro Manila, because we want to prove 4 specific things with respect to the CF cards. 4 specific things with respect to the CF cards. Wala ho kaming sagot na tanggap up to today.
Doon muna tayo sa ano, okay, doon muna tayo sa yung documents na request, for example, ito real life to request na
Request ni Mr. Chong. No?
Oo. Yung nature lang, sir. Ang nature is PCOS audit log, CCS,
Sa palagay ko po, sa mga
print
protest
log.
cases, hinihingi naman din nila yung mga audit log at binibigay po
Pero yun na nga,
natin, no?
do they have to, does it have to be a protestant who should request or preliminary, ano nga ito, research kailangan nila ng... So, Chairman, siguro, just take a look into your existing policies. Siguro, definitely at the cost of the requesting party naman yun
Yes, sir. It's at the cost of the requesting party. Kaya nga ho, sir, how can you make your protest
Yes,
if you are not provided the documents by which you can lay your prima facie evidence that you're entitled to protest?
I understand your predicament nga. Yun na nga ang point. Okay, Ms. Acol, please.
I'd like to take this opportunity to say that the problem that we are having now is the problem that we have the catch-22, okay, for the Comelec. It's hard to protest because you need to have, you have to have their cooperation. So they really have full control, even of manipulation. And we have seen here a proof that the supplier is really very unreliable, but I don't know why they have the monopoly of Comelec, okay? So, but in this connection, I'd like to put up another topic because I'll be leaving anyway. I'd like to make, I was present in the congressional hearing yesterday, and I think that the statement of Commissioner Lim was very careless in saying that intelligence report, if it's an intelligence report, you should not divulge it. You have to have their cooperation. So they really have full control, even of manipulation. And we have seen here a proof that the supplier is really very unreliable, but I don't know why they have the monopoly of Comelec, okay? So, but in this connection, I'd like to put up another topic because I'll be leaving anyway. I'd like to make, I was present in the congressional hearing yesterday, and I think that the statement of Commissioner Lim was very careless in saying that intelligence report, if it's an intelligence report, you should not divulge it. It should have been in closed-door session and not open to the media because of diplomatic repercussions. But I heard it in his presentation that they're transferring the manufacturing from China to Taiwan. So I don't know if that is an intelligence report from the intelligence community or from Smartmatic. Are they that gullible to get the reason from Smartmatic? It could be only a breakdown in negotiation with a Chinese company and going back to their original supplier in Taiwan, Jarltech. So I think that statement is a very careless statement, and it's coming. There's going to be an uproar in the diplomatic community because of that statement, and therefore we would like to say that. Actually, I was interviewed twice already on radio, and one said, that's an impeachable offense. And I said, what? I didn't know that, okay? Because of the repercussions in the diplomatic community. So what I'd like to find out now, since it's anyway out in the open, was that the intelligence community of our national defense, or was that just from Smartmatic?
Your Honor, I take objection to the statement. It was careless. No, they are always arguing about transparency. I was just being transparent on what is the information, and now it's supposed to be closed door. No, so siguro kung yan ang gusto niyo, ayaw niyo maging transparent. No, di manahimik na lang ako. No, I don't know what's your problem.
The problem is you said intelligence, from
Mr.
the
Chairman,
intelligence community.
Mr. Chairman, excuse me. Anyway. That's no longer AES matter, no? Yung divulging whatever information. But the point is, we will get the machines on time. That is what is important.
Your Honor, at the bottom line, Your Honor, is this was discussed by the Commission and Bank. This was raised as an issue
That's why you
having it in China.
Sabi nyo,
Because,
you made it as a provision in the
contract
negotiations,
Your Honor. So
Okay.
I was just relaying that fact. No?
Okay.
I'm not saying that China will sabotage or derail. I'm saying it's good to take precautions.
Okay.
No?
The PCOS, the Smartmatic PCOS system is inaccurate. We already know that it's non-transparent. Why do we continue to deal with them? It's a collateral question is, has the Comelec analyzed what happened in Dinalupihan? Because, if this were a private sector, in a corporation, a bank, for example, if something very serious happens in a bank branch, they will look into it, analyze it, because if it can happen in one, it can happen to all of the branches, especially in an automated system. So, we know it's a defective system. Lack of time cannot be used as a reason for using a defective system. Why do we continue to deal with Smartmatic? I cannot understand this. This question has been posed to the Comelec in different forms in the past, but they have not really responded to that question. Why? We will never do that in the private sector. Alam na nating may diferensya. Nakikipag-deal pa rin tayo doon sa supplier na yon. Hindi mangyayari yan sa private sector. So, sana sagutin naman po ng Comelec itong tanong na ito. Why?
So, I think the Comelec will answer that in the Comelec report, no? Why you chose to continue this way. And of course, I think you have filed cases, di ba? That they will also answer. But the Commissioner Lagman mentioned Dinalupihan. At I think it also, that what happened there warranted a front page treatment in a certain broadsheet. So,
Inquirer.
Siguro, the panel will look deeply into what happened in Dinalupihan and into Dela, Cebu, which was brought to our attention. What else? Where else? What areas? What other areas? Sige, sino pa ba may alam? So that we can...
yung kaso ni Brother Eddie Villanueva,
we already
also include that as well. Yeah.
No, ang gusto sabihin, we already gave time to that allegation, tapos na yon. But itong Dinalupihan of Bataan, Tudela, what other places ang Isulan, Sultan Kudarat? Sulan, okay, sige.
Your Honor.
Baguio, Cebu. We have submitted this. I would like to take this opportunity, sir.
Sige, go ahead.
As a Policy Research Center, sir, in Senpeg, has not failed to attend all the hearings, except for one hearing. We've been attending JCOC hearings, even congressional hearings at the lower house, and all we did was to repeat all over. I mean, all of you would attest to the fact that we are only repeating what we have said before. We are only confronted now with a different set of commissioners and chairman. We have met with Chairman Melo before, and then Chairman Brillantes, and now Chairman Andy. We have said the same thing, sir. All over. Actually, we are not being answered. Our study, this thick, 600 plus pages, released in 2010, had not been answered by Comelec. The studies that we have submitted to the JCOC, the Comelec had not been replied to. We're not expecting a book. We're just expecting a counter study, or maybe a rebuttal, or even a counter, counter proposals to what we have said before. We are repeating the same thing, sir. Actually, we had already come out with a statement last week that we said that next elections, what will determine the outcome of the elections, aside from money, is the defective PCOS. We will repeat that again. I would like to seek the protection of the committee here. If ever there will come a time that they will be thinking of suing us, we are not trying to downplay the election system. But what we are saying is that we have faced the same members of the committee. Now he is leaving, actually, the former chairman of the CSSR, Congressman Barsaga. We had repeated to him a lot of these allegations and the report, sir. but he had not even responded to us in the form of communications or even a report of the CSER. We're even asking the committee, the joint committee, the JCOC to respond in the form of an assessment, because we know that the JCOC is mandated to come out with its own assessment of the elections. In 2010, there was no assessment submitted by the JCOC. In 2013, there was no assessment and recommendation on what system to use by the JCOC. Now comes this committee. We would like to ask, under the leadership of Senator Coco, to please come out with your own assessment of what really happened in the 2013 elections and come up with a proposal or recommendations as you are mandated to do. Actually, I am now tempted to leave because yun napaulit-ulit lang po kung ano yung pinag-usapan namin noong 2010, noong 2013, ngayon inuulit namin. Ang bago ko lang tanong is, may bago tayong sistemang gagamitin. Hindi po ito yung dating sistema ng 2010 at 2013. Hindi na po kasama ang Dominion. Ngayon po, solo flight na ngayon ang Smartmatic. Solo flight na po. Untried po ang sistema nila. Wala na pong Dominion sapagkat hindi pa po resolbado ang kaso between Smartmatic at Dominion. I would like to ask the management, the owners of the Smartmatic company, ano na nangyari sa kaso ninyo? What happened already to the case of Smartmatic with Dominion that actually owns the source code, that actually owns the system? We have been saying that in 2009. Nobody has come out with an official statement except to say, we assure you, there will be transparent elections in the next year. We do not know. We do not want that kind of answer, sir. Kami po ay nag-aaral, kami po ay researcher, hindi naman kami binabayaran ng kahit sino.
Okay, can we get the answer from Smartmatic about the case?
Is this a new system that you're going to use?
Number one, the source code which you will be now, which is embedded in the hardware, which you will be supplying, is now 100% owned by Smartmatic.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now go back to the old case. What happened to the case Smartmatic and Dominion?
Yeah, actually
settled in the Delaware court.
In the Delaware court. I think it was settled.
Just can you find out what happened and then just give us a...
Yes, I can give you the summary.
Okay, so
in short, sir, we are using a new system that should be certified, that should go through the same process as it did in 2009 and 2010. Now we are going to have the source code review, but the source code review will be on the system that is exactly new, untried, untested. We have never tried it. Kung ang 2010 and 2013 po, ay napakaraming problemang lumabas na hindi sinasagot sa amin. Kami po ay lumalabas na parang saboteurs, maiingay, noisy critics. Wait, ang papel po natin magtulungan. Hindi po kami tinutulungan. In fact, so many times, kinasuhan na po ang ilang mga kasama namin ng election sabotage. Now, what has that case affected? I mean, ano epekto ngayon nito sa atin? What we are saying, sir, is ngayon nasa ilalim ng pamumuno ni Chairman Andy Bautista. I mean, nag-uusap naman po tayo, Chairman. Pero hindi lang po ito yung ngitian at acknowledgement, kundi sinasabi namin po mula sa aming puso at mula sa amin kung ano yung pinag-aralan namin. Sana po, sabihin natin ang totoo. Ano ba talaga ang tunay na nangyari noong 2013 elections? Napakarami pong mga palpak. In fact po noong 2010, natatandaan ninyo, everybody had seen this. 256 million voters ang lumabas sa screen. Ano nangyari? Pinalitan. After a few seconds, bumalik sa original. Noong 2013, lumabas po ang 12 million votes kay Senator Grace Poe. 12 million. In a matter of 1 hour and 45 minutes, pumasok po si Mr. Marlon Garcia, napalitan ang script at iba na ang numerong lumabas. I mean, all of this had happened in the open. Hindi natin alam ang nakatago. Because that machine, everything that is being put there, pag binibilang ang boto, sino magsasabi dito na alam natin kung ano ang lalabas na numero sa loob ng makinang iyon? It has never been transparent. Tell us, if it is transparent, it can show accurate votes.
Okay, Ms. Jimenez, I think you have stated enough. So, Chairman, Tama yun, na-confirm yun, yung 252 and then yung first day. So, can you take a look again at those incidents and then give this panel a report on what lessons we have learned?
No, that's the point. I think, Mr. Chairman,
to prevent the repetition.
That is, that was a phrase that the chairman used, earlier, which I think should be emphasized: lessons learned. And I think we've said this by way of a general strategy. The Comelec now would like to improve upon its performance in 2010 and 2013. I think we're not saying that those elections were perfect. In the same way that the elections in 2007, 2000...
Those incidents and then give this panel a report on what lessons we have learned.
No, that's the point. I think, Mr. Chairman,
to prevent the repetition.
That is, I think that was a phrase that the chairman used, earlier, which I think should be emphasized: lessons learned. And I think we've said this by way of a general strategy. The Comelec now would like to improve upon its performance in 2010 and 2013. I think we're not saying that those elections were perfect. In the same way that the elections in 2007, 2004, and before that were not perfect. What we're trying to do is that we should improve from one election to the other. So yan nga po.
Because excuse me, Ebino, because it's the same supplier. So ang point nila, okay, yung number of voters, okay, hindi na naulit in 2013. Tama. Okay. Right, I think even yung sa time stamp ng machines na same time na sila. That you were able to cure that. Pero yung one-day surge naman ng first day nung quick count, nag-surge yung...
Pero PPCRB yata nagkamali dun eh. I think inamin naman So hindi naman Comelec.
So, did Comelec investigate? Kasi it reflects on the Comelec's performance then, because
That's correct.
PPCRB's right to publish their results is also based on your giving them that privilege and the right to do it, di ba? So, if you investigated such an incident and give us your official report on what happened. Okay? Because I think that was how they also explained it, pero verbal po yun eh. Sana may, para pakitang we investigated the incident. Pero nagka-surge eh. One day, nagka-surge yung vote ng isang tao.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, if I might just again, for example, lessons learned. But one of the things stated about 2010 and 2013 was the late review of the source code, which I thought was a valid point. And so because of that now, we are already opening the base code source review 8 months before the elections. So, hindi ba, yun ang sinasabi ko nga, we're trying to improve upon our performance in 2013, 2010. Kumbaga, we are not being deaf to these points. Pero hindi rin naman pwedeng panay na lang ang batikos. At sabi nga, yung ating sistema ng demokrasya ang at stake dito, it's the credibility of the elections which has a long-lasting impact on the stability of government, on our economy, so people should not be careless with respect to statements that they will be making. Yun lang din yung aming pakiusap eh. Kumbaga, okay, doon lang po sa doon po sa sistema na gagamitin natin para sa 2016 elections. Alam nyo naman, di ba? Because sabi dati, yung daw hybrid, hindi daw pinakikinggan. Ano po ang ginawa ng Comelec ngayon? Nagkaroon po kami ng end-to-end demonstration. Pinagbigyan po namin sila para ipakita kung yung sistemang ito ay tama or kaya angkop para sa ating elections. Marami pong pumuntang mga congressmen dyan. At again, we came out with a decision after providing due process. Yun lang sinasabi. Yun siguro, I can't speak for the past. But I can speak for the last 4 months. And we have listened. And we have tried to really, kumbaga, constructive criticisms are, to our minds, valid. And as long as our objective of trying to make sure that our elections are truly credible are paramount in the minds of people. Minsan kasi puro nga nagiging personalan eh.
Chairman,
against the...
tama po yun that the Comelec has made decisions and some of them have been questioned before the courts. So mabuti nga yun para ma-double check yung legality of the decision. But anyway, itong ating GCOC hearings, once in a while lang naman ito, and then mga 2 to 3 hours lang naman ito, hayaan na natin na yung pagbatikos dito nangyayari. Okay? Ganun po yung purpose. Actually, ang purpose nga nito is dito po tayo naglalabasan nga ng
venting pala to.
Labasan tayo ng observation, suggestion, from the stakeholders, from lawmakers, from the Comelec, and from other participants. Ano?
Pero Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
hindi pa sinasagot
Commissioner.
yung tanong ko eh.
Hindi kasi
Kailan po ba sasagutin yun? Bakit?
Commissioner, kasi nakapili na nga sila ng system eh. Ang tanong mo is how come
we
they're
continue
sticking to
deal with
this
them?
precisely?
Dalawang failures na, kung learning experience, dalawang failures na eh. Bakit sila pa rin?
But you know nga, the assessment of failure comes from you, sa iba hindi failure. But the Comelec is mandated to file a report after the election, di ba? And I'm sure the Comelec report, in the first part, we will explain why you chose why you chose to adopt the OMR instead of the other systems that you reviewed. Right? Ganun yun. There's a Comelec report after the election.
After the 2016 elections, yes.
But the thing is, they have made decisions, so you can actually question them now.
That's why
No,
we're
in fact,
asking
they are
now.
questioned. Mr. Chairman, they're questioned. There are several cases.
Yes,
filed in the
9
court.
cases nga daw eh. So, okay na po yun, ano?
Dalawang failures na. And very
Tapos dito,
expensive.
the JCOC, we are using the JCOC hearings to bring out your other decisions, other facts, so that stakeholders can also use their standards to measure the validity and the wisdom of your decisions. Ganun, yan ang purpose nito eh. Okay? Pagdating sa wisdom, wala eh. The president have chosen you and then has chosen you, and then CA has confirmed you. Yan ang theory doon. So the discretion belongs to you. Pagdating sa validity, yun, pwedeng i-test ngayon yun sa courts. That's how I understand it. Yes, Mr. Casino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for the record, Mr. Chairman, since Chairman Bautista was already here, wanting to have lessons learned. For the record, we have here the soft copy of the report of the joint forensics investigation done on the controversial 60 PCOS machine discovered in Antipolo in 2010. And according to the experts, they said here, extracted hash code did not match the published hash code, as against to what the statement of Dr. Yu had said earlier. But it's already put on record, no? This is already submitted to the Senate. Now, we'd like to ask the chairman here, in the eventuality that the hash code that is published does not match with the one that's been used, what is the accountability of the vendor? Do they pay the Philippine government back the 9 billion or the 8 billion that was paid? I mean, this is tantamount to electoral sabotage. And in fact, if we were subject all machines for source code review, we would request all 92,000 equipment to be subject, because any one machine can be used for fraud. And if we're trying to get the accuracy of the count, I mean, let's be factual about all this information. Not just a matter of, yeah, we look at it, we'll see it, and they'll get back to us. And we ended up always like that for the past 2 electoral period. Now come 2016, we'll have the same remarks, for sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, just for information.
That's a good point, no? Kasi yung source code review, we're doing this for a certain purpose to generate this number, and then, so paano nga ngayon yung chairman? What do we do with all of this information? Yes, Mr. Garcia.
Just a quick answer on that regard. Actually, the validation of the hash code on the machines had been a big issue in the past. People has complained that there has been fraud. With regards to the report that was issued by the forensic experts, yes, indeed, they claimed that there was a discrepancy, but what they did not state in the document is that the document that had the hash codes had an amendment because there was an error when they typed the document. And there is an amendment to that document that is public, number one. Yes, that is the correct one, and it matched. That is something they're not saying. And number two, with regards to the validation of the hash codes, if somebody takes a look at the RFP that was published by the Comelec and the one that we participated in, there is a requirement that the machines have to print the hash code of the application being used. So at any point in time, anybody can validate that the hash code is the same. So that safeguard is already in place, Mr. Casino.
So we will take a look at that, no? But it's a factual allegation whether or not it was confirmed in the Senate hearing kung nag-match o hindi. But the point is, may purpose eh, no? Mga hash code to match. So, if the machine generates a hash code, it must be compared to another hash code. Are you going to do that?
Dapat, well, as I said, Mr. Chairman, I thought that unang-una nga, very valid point, na dapat bigyan ng kaukulang panahon yung pag-review ng source code, no? So, and that's what we're trying to do now. We're trying to be open about it. And then itong sa hash code, yes, I think there should be some basis for comparison. But we can't keep going back to the past because we have an election to run in 2016. At kung pwede nga sana to help us in that regard to make sure that these elections are going to be better than 2013 and 2010.
So Mr. Casino is a Philippine Computer Society representative. He's telling us the value of a certain information. So 6 commissioners, the chairman present here. So we are educated in effect na may halaga pala yun. So when you now discuss in your NBank meetings, you know na, how do we double check that we are using the same, because it must be the same. The software used in the machine must be the same as the software examined or certified for learning, but I'm not in the Comelec. So kayo po yun, you're now learning that may value pala yun, so find a way to make use of that hash number or information.
Mr. Chair, just
yes,
information, not a question. Whenever I go around the country and speak about the PCOS, I always ask the teachers if there are teachers around. And I always ask them if, when the ballots were inserted into the PCOS, did they do anything afterward?
Hash number or information.
Mr. Chair, just
yes,
information, not a question. Whenever I go around the country and speak about the PCOS, I always ask the teachers if there are teachers around. And I always ask them if, when the ballots were inserted into the PCOS, did they do anything afterwards? Because the ballots would be in topsy-turvy position inside the ballot box. The last one I talked to was in Talisay, Batangas 2 days ago or 3 days ago. Sinabi niya, hinayaan namin yung balot ang pumasok doon sa loob ng box. Wala kaming ginawa. But if you look at pictures from Dinalupihan, Bataan, and also in Gotalac, Zamboanga del Norte, and even in Baguio City, where we were accused of tampering with the ballots, nung inopen ho itong balota, ako mismo, I was shocked. When the ballot box was opened, the ballots were neatly packed inside a long brown envelope. And someone from Gotalac, Zamboanga del Norte gave me, I checked with the general instructions on voting. Specifically, if I'm not mistaken, sections 24 to 29 on forms, documents, and supplies. Wala ho yung form doon. Wala ho yung form na doon. So ang question is, who provided those long brown boxes by which the ballots were neatly arranged inside? And the common denominator of all protested precincts. Now, finally, sir, ito lang last. Sinabi ho ng Comelec na they're going to open the source code review to interested parties, but the deadline is on Tuesday. Ngayon lang ho namin narinig yun. We have only until tomorrow and Monday to prepare.
September 22. Tama.
Oo nga. This is not valid notice, Your Honor, under legal contemplation. Hindi ho, kasi wala hong Saturday. And suggest you put it in the middle of October. Anyway, you're going to make it subject to review only in February.
No. Simula po October 1. October 1 yung simula.
They can already start the review.
Yeah, there is already going to be a lecture going to be done at De La Salle University at Taft. So you are all invited, Mr. Chairman, and also other election stakeholders. As I said, we want to be very public and transparent about this.
First week of October, sir, we'll do.
Anyway,
That's reasonable
Comelec,
notice.
please give it wide publicity, the new deadline and the other activities. Okay, so can we skip some of the other items in our agenda? Can we go to the chairman? I think promised us a report on the compliance or non-compliance of Smartmatic with the provisions of its previous 2 contracts. Kasi di ba we were debating on the extent of ano ba yung pinag-usapan natin doon? The prestations required of Smartmatic. Did you study it, Chairman, or you're not ready with the report?
I have some notes, Mr. Chairman. I can, we can formalize this into a report. Okay,
the panel would prefer that mode, no? That if it be given as a written report. Okay, so transmission, actually, we're still worried with transmission. Wala kaming ka-idea how you will
Sir, in relation
how you will
to
improve
number two.
how you will improve transmission.
Sir, in relation to the contracts, please.
Sige.
Yeah.
Ms. Jimenez.
Sir, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, okay. Just like to first clarify, sir, that we are forwarding constructive criticisms still way back pa 2009. We never include personal attacks, actually. If you did experience that, it's not from us, no, coming from us. I'd just like to ask, sir, no, if we are going to follow the rules of Comelec, we're going to follow the law, then we have to agree on that. I mean, basically, that is what we are here for, to help monitor that the law is being, followed. Regardless of what the Comelec of the Supreme Court says, no, in the cases. I'd just like to know that
Sorry, ma'am, regardless?
Kahit na po anong sabihin ng Supreme Court, na sabihin nila na mali o tama, dapat po talagang sumunod tayo sa batas.
Hindi po. Kung ano po ang sasabihin ng Korte Suprema tungkol sa isang batas, ay batas rin. Kailangan natin po sundin yan.
Kailangan, ang ibig kong pong sabihin, rephrase ko, ay kahit na hindi po masasalita ang Supreme Court,
talk to us.
Kahit na hindi sabihin ng Supreme Court na mali or tama, dahil wala pa namang rulings na inilalabas ngayon, doon sa mga 4 na kaso or petitions na isinampa, ay dapat sumunod pa rin tayo sa batas. Tama po ba yung pagkaka-word?
Tama po pero yun na nga, ang batas kasi ini-interpret din natin. So, that's why, ang interpretation ng Comelec sa batas is embodied in their decisions or resolutions or contracts, and then, these are the ones na
being followed.
No, which we can now question.
Yes, okay. Okay. On that point, dahil po walang IRR, ang RA 9369, ang mungkahi po namin ay siguro manggagaling din dito sa komite, ay gawin na po, i-fast track na ang IRR dahil from time to time, mula po ng 2010, ay palagi naglalabas ng iba't ibang Comelec rules. Nag-iiba po yan, kaya subject to the decisions ng mga bagong set ng commissioners. Isa po yan sa nais namin at matagal na naming sinasabi, isang constructive proposal po yan noon pa na hanggang ngayon hindi pa nagagawa. Okay, secondly,
May I just, on that point, I think it's, again, no, it's a valid point, no? Ang naging sagot nga po dati is that yun daw general instructions serve as the IRR. Now, alam nyo, sa tingin ko, that's debatable, no? Pero I was talking to Dr. Celis before the committee hearing, at sabi ko, again, let's be constructive about it. Ito po, why don't you provide us with a draft IRR, which the Commission can now consider?
Okay, bukod sa hindi namin itong trabaho at dapat trabaho ng gobyerno, ay magtulungan po tayo. Magtulungan po tayo. In fact, we have presented a lot of amendments, proposed amendments and proposals, pero gawin po ng gobyerno, yun dapat na gawin niya. Pangalawa pong punto, sir, ay...
Pero ano ba yan? Tutulungan niyo ba kami?
All the time.
So you will provide
us with... In fact, yung mga criticisms namin...
Okay.
That's beside the point.
Address your statements to us para involve
okay,
pero
po, sir. Sorry.
Ang point ko nakukuha ko na point of view of the Comelec as an institution, they have been complying with the IRR through the general instructions.
Which is
interpretation is it must be a separate IRR. So, siguro make up your mind first, decide on the issue. Do you really need to separate IRR or not? Make it known before this committee so the decision can be questioned in case there's a sector which disagrees with your reading of the law.
No, kaya nga, pero nga, Mr. Chairman, di ba, ang gusto natin, sabi nga, is to facilitate, to help each other, no?
Opo.
And if they believe that, kumbaga, that we should have an IRR, ang aming challenge sa kanila, please provide us with a draft IRR, if you wish, through the committee. And I can assure you, as I said, there are 3 new commissioners now. We will look into it with a fresh pair of eyes.
Okay.
I think on that note, sir, it should be... under the auspices of the Joint Congressional Oversight Committee, sir, no? The proper government body.
And we will help in that sense. We want to involve the stakeholders.
Yes,
if you have already a draft IRR, also submit to us.
On the second point, sir, is I'd like to ask, what happens to the provisions in the TOR of the past, contracts with Smartmatic, stating that if there are non-compliances, there would be penalties, corresponding penalties. I think that should be reviewed because you are now you have entered into another agreement with Smartmatic as the solo provider for the PCOS machines. Because there are provisions there, sir, that says that non-compliance and non-delivery on time, etc., will have to face corresponding penalties. But this had not been done by the previous administration under Comelec Chairman Brillantes, and we'd like to, even Chairman Melo, we'd like to put forward, sir, that if you are going to review and you acknowledge the fact that we have to improve the system, then the contracts and the TORs are the best papers, documents to start on.
Sorry, ma'am. This is again with respect to contracts in 2010 and 20... Ito yung mga old contracts.
Because you are dealing with the same provider.
Right. Because we have new contracts with them now, eh. As I said, I don't know, are there specific provisions of the old contracts that you wish to raise and say that there was an outright violation? Again, please provide us, kasi yung pong problema, as I said, no, we're preparing for the 2016 elections, and as you know, we are a bit delayed in respect of our, choosing the system, and therefore we are trying to catch up. And these are again matters that are related to the past elections. And we are hoping
sir,
that, again...
We provided the letters to you, to the Comelec, and to the JCOC, and by now I think they should have been studied as well.
This is, again, in respect of which elections?
The compliance in 2010-2013, which you are going to address, as you said, to improve the system by 2016.
Okay, this is how I understand it. No? So in contracts, there are penalty clauses in case of non-compliance or whatever. So, for example, and I'm sure meron niya sa 2009 and 2012. For example, this wrong time stamping, which caused a lot of confusion in 2010. Was there ever a penalty imposed on the supplier? Pinahirapan nyo lahat ng protestante, ha? Oh. Ang hirap-hirap, no? And of course, people expected na timestamp lang, mali pa. Was there ever a penalty imposed?
I do not know. We will...
yung mga ganon, yun ang tanong. For example, yung mga... yung CF card fiasco, unless that's attributable to the Comelec, no? If it's attributable to a supplier, for example, 25% failure to transmit. Was there a penalty clause in the contract for the transmission? Yun ang mga ganun ang tanong. To improve, the penalty actually is a deterrent for the supplier to be serious with these commitments. So,
no, we Chairman, agree. We agree, Mr. Chairman. And as I said, ako lang, kumbaga, itong new contracts were signed with the new commission, so we are monitoring compliance.
Pay special attention to your penalty clauses, make them more severe so that they can act as a deterrent. But I saw Commissioner Lim, Robert Lim, nodding when I said na may penalty ba doon sa 25% failure?
Yung transmission, Your Honor, matandaan ko meron po. Binidhold namin yung bayad, yung sa portions ng corresponding to the failure.
Can we get the facts? And then can you announce it? Para naman, rin kami feeling namin na the government is not being shortchanged
we will
left and
submit
right.
a report, Your Honor, on the penalties being imposed.
Sa next hearing, announce it, Chairman, para malaman po ng stakeholders na we penalize some of our contracting parties for failure to deliver. You wanted to say something, Mr. Garcia?
Yes, actually, what Commissioner Lim just stated, in fact, from 2010 and from 2013, there were some penalties imposed, either for delayed deliverables, for unfulfilled commitments. There were penalties imposed, and in all the contracts, there are penalty clauses that are bound to the service level agreements, the milestones that are in the delivery schedules that we have. So it has always been there. We have been penalized in the past.
Try to avoid try to avoid the penalties by being more efficient. Huh?
Mr. Chair.
Don't be happy that you are penalized.
No, I'm not happy. Obviously, we're not happy because we're penalized, but there are some instances, let's say...
But it's better, it's better that no one was penalized because it was a smooth and efficient compliance with the contract.
Yes, the thing is, for instance, one issue that has always been raised, and some people say that time cannot be used as an excuse here. If the contracts are signed late, then we depend on our suppliers. If our suppliers deliver late, what do? We absorb the penalties. And that is, we're the ones to blame because we're the ones signing the contracts. And we have always accepted the penalties because we honor the commitments to the Comelec. And if we fail to honor the commitment, the way to resolve it is to accept the penalties. We have always been clear about that.
Okay, but we are not interested with the penalties. We're interested in the machines, in the accurate, reliable machines. But have you studied their own supplier system also?
Your Honor,
is Smartmatic dependent on some other supplier?
In the terms of reference, Your Honor, when they submit the bid, they are required to disclose their subcontractors, Your Honor. They submit that to the Commission, Your Honor.
Just one question, Mr. Garcia. You have entered into various contracts with the Comelec right now. Do you expect that you would be able to comply on time with your obligations, or do we expect that there will be delay and for which you will be paying penalties?
No, sir. Actually, since this time around, as Chairman Bautista said, we have done everything in order to learn from the past. We have done the biddings ahead of time. We have been given plenty of time to do the manufacturing of all the items, to deliver on time. So this time around, everything should be in place as we agreed in the contract.
We will expect no delays.
No delays, sir.
And we will not expect the Comelec to ask you for any payment.
Yes, sir.
Sir, dito lang sa ilang beses na violation ng
Ebi, may tanong lang ako.
Ang bike natin.
Bakit ba natin, why are we shifting from the term PCOS to OMR? Bakit?
VCM.
VCM na? Bakit? Bakit?
Wala naman po. Kaya lang,
it's basically the same because,
I think it's because nga, well, from yung PCOS tinatawag Hocus Picos.
Okay, so
tapos po, itong OMR naman, may narinig po kami na OMAR daw. Kaya, sabi ko, para VCM na lang. Sabi ko,
Okay, so, next question. Yung CCS systems na used na natin noong 2010 and 2013, so tested na yon. How come we need to try out a new CCS?
There are some certain improvements that you want to introduce to the CCS. No? One of them is the level of encryption. In the 2013 CCS, it's 128 encryption. We want to increase to double it to 256 encryption. No? Second, one of the tools that we are looking is that if it's possible to address the issue of that if we can totally eliminate the lowering of threshold, is that if we can proclaim by position, but at the same time maintain the canvassing, so we don't have to lower the threshold. So like in case of the local positions wherein the votes will not matter, we can proceed with the proclamation of, let's say, the congressman, but the canvassing will still continue for the national positions before transmission, so that all votes will be accounted for. So those are the major changes, and including the reporting of the data, Your Honor.
Okay, but in theory, should the old CCS be able to accept the transmissions from the new VCM?
Well, you have to lower also the standard of the VCM, Your Honor, because the new VCM is structured for a 256 encryption, while the old VCM is 128. So if you transmit it, it will not be read by the new by the old CCS.
It cannot. It cannot. Okay, so by necessity, kailangan yung new CCS. Why were you focused on the encryption? Why the need to double it?
We just want to take precautions, Your Honor. No, there are claims of hacking, although 128.
Was it ever an issue in the 2010-2013? The encryption.
The CAC also recommended to increase the encryption.
Was there an issue? Wala.
No, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. Just a recommendation to ano. But that, Dr. Celis, sorry. Last question, because Congressman Basaga has to go and Comelec has to prepare for the 2016 elections. No, but this this is a necessary part of the preparation. So I hope you understand, Chairman Bautista and the commissioners. And Dr. Celis.
With regard to the preparation of the digital signatures, what's the plan here? Because as discussed in our last hearing, according to USEC Casambre, they provided 130,000 digital signatures. And we would like to know if this is also part of the plan. I did not see in the plan that was presented by Commissioner Lim.
We will not go for the personalized digital signatures.
So, yung machine-generated
Yes,
ulit. So,
yes.
your interpretation, which you said was already sustained by the Supreme Court, di ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Is that 93,000 machine digital signatures?
One per
Actually-
machine, di ba?
No, actually, sir, it's 93,977 times 4. That is the number because there is the machine signature to ensure that there will be a signature that will be different per machine, and also it will be provided the option for the BEIs to use another certificate to electronically sign the results. So it can be either 1 or 4 per machine. So digital signature, as it has always been there, will be there.
No, but what is the safeguard that we will be looking for? Which is the digital signature from the point of view of the Comelec? What? The machine-generated number or this optional number?
No.
From the
The
certificate?
machine-generated number will be it will be generated under the supervision of ASTI, or the OST ASTI. No, we forgo with the personal digital signature, no, because it will have tremendous logistical requirements. Like we would have to stop registration at July 30. We would have the filing of COCs on August. No, so it would be very difficult to adjust the pre-election calendar, Your Honor. That's why we are settling for the machine, and also to avoid dangers of the BI not showing up, resulting to a failure of elections.
When a machine fails to transmit, the BI can use another machine.
Yes, Your Honor.
And through the use of that second machine, it transmits. What will be the digital signature brought by the transmission?
Your Honor, this signature, I understand, would be in the configuration, Your Honor, in the cards, Your Honor, so that you can easily use another machine. But in terms of opening up the encryption or for that data, the digital signatures will be unique for that precinct, Your Honor.
It's in the card.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, okay, so the digital signature that we are talking about, which you interpret differently from the stakeholders, from some of the stakeholders, is embedded in the card.
It's not embedded in the card. It's that the card reads it. No, is that correct?
Mr. Garcia, please.
Well, I will try to say it in layman's terms because it's a bit technical. The digital signature is just an appendix of the results file. Okay, let's say this book is the results, right? We generated that in my machine. When I do the digital signature of these results, I will attach something which is a hash code that is encrypted. So I will put them together, and I have now the elections result transmission package. Let's call it the transmission package. If I am not able to transmit, this is already encrypted and it is digitally signed. What I do is I bring exactly this transmission package to another machine. It doesn't matter the digital signature in this machine because that is for its results. If I'm going to use it just for transmission purposes, it will take the entire package and forward it to the servers. So it's just for
transmission purposes. The machine will not attach anything to the packet.
Sir. Exactly.
Okay, so I get it. So that is the packet brought the attachment from the machine which generated the results.
Exactly.
And that is the machine which held the elections for the precinct.
Exactly.
Mr. Casino?
Mr. Chair.
Why not, I'm still...
Sorry.
Why not use these digital signatures that's being provided already by the Department of Science and Technology, or ICTO? And this is also in compliance with the Republic Act 8792, which is the e-commerce law. This is already being provided. And why not use this? That's the question.
May I just add, Mr. Chair?
Dagdag so that you want answer to two questions. Sige,
Yeah.
okay.
Because
Dagdag.
under the law, in concurrence with Dr. Celis here, in concurrence to the law, the act of verifying, certifying that the election results was generated by the BEI, correct? It has been, it's a ceremonial act that it will be signed by them, being the BEI chair, and that's the principle of the right of suffrage. So the ministerial act of having it signed by the BI designated by law is the one that's going to... Now, if you're going to have a machine to verify that, then we're being elected by machines. We're not being elected by people. Kaya nga, the representation of the digital signature to be personalized is to enable the act of the designated deputy election officials at the ground to test that this is the results generated by the precinct, to testify, and I stand as a witness. So it's a way of saying, the BI chairman attest that the counts here had been done, so this blah, 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 blah. Ganun ang principle ng digital signature. In this case, if they allow the machine, no issue on the capability of that digital signature, but on the policy, on the principle behind that, it already diffuses the right to suffrage. So we are here being elected by machines.
Did you get the inputs?
Yes, Your Honor, I will not dwell on the legal issues anymore. No, I will rely on the ruling of the Supreme Court in the case of Kapalya. But for information, Your Honor, we tried to coordinate with DOST for that. In fact, what you wanted was that they generate a list of digital signatures. No, but under the protocols, they cannot do that and have to cut short everything. No, the registration, the filing the COC, everything will have to be advanced. So I guess, Your Honor, in weighing the two evils, and also the danger of the BI assigning a personal signature does not show up on election day, then basically you have a failure of election. No? So weighing those two evils, Your Honor, I think we feel that the greater evil is the disenfranchisement of if we cut short the registration period.
If I may ask, how long will it take to implement the digital signatures or the personalized signatures?
We are scheduled for configuration starting January, so all the digital signatures should be in before January. And if you look at the entire country, you're looking at 300,000 BEIs. You have to go all around the country, interview each BEI, require each BEI to submit their documentary requirements, the birth certificate. It's like an application for a passport. Issue them those signatures. Then by January, everything has to be in. It has to be in the exact machine. The moment it's wrongly configured, then there's automatic failure of election.
Actually, the reasoning behind the BEI, not only the BEI, but also the Board of Canvassers, not showing up, there should also be a contingency plan, just like in our concern about transmission. If we cannot transmit, then there has to be a contingency plan or a backup transmission facility. Likewise, if you're talking about digital signatures, if the BEI or even the Board of Canvasser would not be able to show up, then there has to be a contingency plan. What do you think of that, Commissioner Lim?
We'll also look at the contingency plan. But then again, a contingency plan, at the end of the day, on the ground, on election day, you really have to work with what's available to you. And with that, we cannot guarantee success of the elections with that.
Anyhow, that's a legal concern, whether it is compliant with Republic Act 8792, and in fact, there is already a gesture from the Department of Science and Technology to use it. I guess we just have to get that. Second point about what you presented about the transmission, that the telecommunications facilities would not be able to transmit 100%.
So in fact, we inquired to them. They cannot guarantee that on the same day, on the same spot, first of all, the signal will be the same. Second, also in terms of capacity, that they can carry the capacity. That's what they mentioned.
That's why there is what you call the accountability. In 2010, there is 9% non-transmission, then it increased to 23%. But if you recall on what transpired in Yolanda, even there's no telecommunications facilities from the private sector, the armed forces of the Philippines were able to make it. And I guess revise or revise the rule or the law, or that's it. We can even take other government agencies in support of the transmission. In fact, we discussed in our last meeting that even the Commission on Election can take over the public utilities.
First point, Your Honor, is as much as possible, aside from the issue of peacekeeping process, we do not want to. Second, in terms of the transmission, we are really working on with the telecoms, no? But given the limitations, we can take over the telecoms. That is no issue. But can we run the telecoms? That's another issue. We might end up having no cell phone signal for the next 3 months prior leading to elections. This will be like the traffic situation. You ask us to run a telecom facility and we don't know how to run it.
But what is clear now is Comelec has taken a position on digital signatures. Now, you are satisfied?
Your Honor, I just wanted to comment regarding the digital signature. There are 2 steps to the process. One is signing, the other is validation of the signature. The requirement under the law, if I'm not mistaken, is for the attachment of the signature itself. But Comelec, from my understanding, is concerned about the logistics of getting the certificates inside the configuration, which is actually, I guess, only required if you are validating the signature. But if you're only just attaching, then you don't need the certificates in the configuration itself, because you can just accept the document as signed but need not validate it. The use for that would be for post-audit. If you want to do a post-audit on the result, you can check that who actually signed it, as far as the BEI member or even the BOC member, for if it's the canvas result. So what I'm saying is, Comelec can actually issue digital certificates that can be used for the logistics. Then they can opt not to include the certificates in the configuration by not requiring the validation anymore during the canvassing. But that can be done as post-audit. If there is any question about the result, for example, then that can be checked.
So how long will it take to validate the digital signatures, Director Villorente?
It's less than 1 second. I guess the problem of Comelec is because the process for issuance of the digital certificate requires a face-to-face validation with between the issuer and the one being issued the certificate to. That is the logistics problem. And if that has to be accounted for in the schedule, then that has to be done very early on if the requirement is for this to be issued by a certain date, so that they can be included in the configuration of the election system. But if that is not a requirement, if it's just a matter of issuing the certificates so that they can be assigned when they can be attached when the result is transmitted, then that will not be a requirement. You can push it back, the issuance itself.
Mr. Chairman, maybe we can ask the Commission on Elections to present this, to integrate the comments of Director Villorente.
Anyway, they heard it, and we also heard it. We have been discussing it. So, in effect, the file which represents the results will have the digital signature attached by the machine, and then 3 other attachments
But you cannot actually check from the election
from
file,
the file, yeah.
who.
Yes. Digitally, you cannot find out who operated the machine. But paper-wise, there's a paper trail. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. In the minutes, the BIs will be.
If you really need to find out who operated the machine which sent this file, you cannot find it from the file, but you can find it from the.
But also Republic Act 8792. It's the e-commerce law, and with regard to voter verification paper audit trail, what is the plan of the Comelec? So Republic Act 8792, it's the e-commerce law. And With regard to voter verification, or the BBFAT, or the voters verification
Voter
slip,
confirmation
or the
slip.
receipt.
What is the interpretation of the Comelec regarding this voter verification paper trail?
No, but having said that, and I do recognize that there is some value to printing the receipt. It has advantages and disadvantages. They can print the receipt. They can print the receipt.
Sure or not?
That is correct. And again, if input from the committee will provide to say that really the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, then we will do it.
Okay, that's good. With regard to the CF card, because this is very critical, no? Is the CF card a warm
SD cards?
Yes, Your
Can you
Honor.
describe the type daw? The type of the SD
The
card?
first one is the regular SD card, then the second one is the worm.
Second one is the worm.
Worm.
And can we have a procedure possibly on how do we secure the CF card? Maybe there
SD
must-
card na, SD card. Even the card they change para hindi na
the physical
Para
the physical possession, custody, or the secure in the sense of when it's written.
Yes.
What do you mean?
Maybe there must be a way of securing it, so that the CF card, the original CF card, might not be replaced by anybody else. So there has to be a way of doing it, no? Parang if you have a computer, you can have a lock, no? So that you wouldn't be able to tamper it. For the CF card, maybe there should be a procedure or a process, no, in making sure that the data there are secure, the physical CF card is not replaced.
Definitely,
Is there a way to do
the
it?
CF card, during the kitting process, is being loaded, is being packed with the machine. No, it's there. No, in fact, we are allowing watchers in our Kabuya warehouse, in the warehouse, whatever warehouse we will get, they can observe the process. No, now also in terms of the shipping of the machines from the regional hub and from the regional hub going to the voting centers, we also notify the political parties. No, so they can see if they can send watchers, they can ask watchers to accompany, and they can see if it's being opened or is that the cards are being replaced. No, so I think that's a very transparent process.
And last, Mr. Chairman.
No, but what if the cards are successfully replaced? What will happen?
If you replace the cards, no, let's say assuming that the card being the replacement card has a different source code.
The replacement of the card is for purposes of fraud. So
Okay,
kaya
for
nga,
purpose of fraud. So there could be two things, Your Honor. First of all, it's preloaded with results. Or second, it's a different source code. It will count the ballots differently. Okay. You can, because at the start of the elections, there will be an initialization test, and it will print out a zero report, and it will show the hash code. And the watchers can compare the hash code based on the published hash code and not. Then definitely, if it's a tampered SD card, then the hash code will be different. So automatically, you know that something is wrong. No. Second, if it's preloaded, part of the initialization process, it will re-zero the contents of the card. So even if it's preloaded, Your Honor, naging zero yung card, no? And you will also see that during final sealing and testing. And you always re-zero before you start the voting process.
But you're telling us that the machine will entertain any SD card.
No, it will
Because in-entertain niya, din zinero niya eh. So
yeah, it will entertain any SD card, but it will only read an SD card with the configuration that is being allowed by the machine, that is being made by the EMS, not from any other computer, Your Honor. In fact, one of the safety features that we want is that if any device is inserted containing a different, not from the EMS, automatically the machine will shut down.
We'd like to
is
see
that
that.
what is going to happen, or you're just entertaining that?
No, that's part of the security features that we insisted to be part of the machine.
So okay, but
Yeah.
well,
that-
anyway, baka if it's done early, then what will happen now to if let's say the insertion is done early in the voting or in the day, the machine shuts down. What will happen to the election in that precinct?
Definitely there will be no election, but now you will now have a report that there's no election, that you need to bring new machine, you need to bring new SD cards, so that election can continue. But you stop the fraud at that point, no, at the start.
But anyway, take a second look at that policy, Mr. Chairman.
Although, Mr. Chairman, one of the things that perhaps we can do, maybe in the next meeting, is to show what are the new features of this machine and how are these new features, how will they address the problems of 2010 and 2013. Because again, that's when we leased these new machines, we wanted to make sure that they addressed the problems of the past. And again, part of lessons learned.
One last question, concern, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
What's the plan about the random manual audit and the transparency server operations?
Well, in respect of the random manual audit, we have, the NBank has asked Commissioner Louis Gia to chair the random manual audit committee. And also, I think that the NBank is looking at NAMFREL to take the lead insofar as the random manual audit. We know that the new chair of NAMFREL was formerly the president, I think, of PICPA, was also the managing partner of the largest auditing firm. So I think he is the right person to lead this committee.
What about, Mr. Chairman, with regard to the transparency server?
I think just like in the past, the transparency server is supposed to be shared by the citizens' arm, the media, the dominant majority, the dominant minority. And it should be transparent.
Yeah, who's going to handle that in 2016? Where will this be housed?
We have that actually the transparency survey is part of the contract for transmission. So since we don't not have yet transmission, we still don't know.
Okay, but these are two areas where we can improve, Mr. Chairman. Random manual audit, a lot of room for improvement, and even the transparency server. Ang suggestion ko nga is let's come up with the total votes per LGU. Did you do that in the 2013? Hindi yata. When I checked my results, you give you in the server, I can access the results per precinct. In Cagayan de Oro, for example, I can see my votes in the precincts in Cagayan de Oro, but my total city, my city total is not indicated. So I have to add. I have to add myself.
Actually, Your Honor, that's the way the system is designed, no? Because
Yeah,
we don't want
something
to.
is wrong.
No. We don't want to influence the results, no, because there is a official canvassing, which is the official count, Your Honor. So we don't want to official. So if you would want, we would
take
prefer
a look at that, because transparency nga transparency. Okay nga, you tell me my precinct results, but you want me to add each precinct, so I can catch up with my own auditing. Bakit? Why? So, Mr. Chairman, I mean, we're looking for improvements on transparency server. Evie, last word.
Yes, sir.
So after Evie, Mr. Kerubin.
Okay, in short, sir, we are using in 2016 a new election system provided by an old vendor without Dominion voting systems as the real owner of the technology. Is that what we are now concluding with regards the system to be used in 2016? Secondly, if we have a new set of 93,000 plus machines and they are going to be housed at the cost of 81 million pesos, what happens now to the 81,000 old PCOS machines that had been found to be defective and refused to be refurbished by the old vendor?
The 81,000, they have been housed. Siguro, ano na lang,
and at what cost?
Yeah,
to the taxpayers' money?
From the time that we took possession of them up to and then what is the plan with them? We will have to house them until we have a plan for them. Ganun talaga.
Until 2019, they said.
We have responded to this point, Mr. Chairman. I think that the Comelec and Bank decided to refurbish and upgrade the old machines for use in the 2019 elections.
Yeah.
As I said before, this was really our obvious preference. We really wanted to go through the refurbishment route because it was the cheaper alternative. However, because of time constraints, and again, because of the greater technological risk, the NBank unanimously decided that the more prudent course of action to take for 2016 is to lease new machines. The 82,000 are currently housed in a warehouse in Cabuyao. I think that the monthly rent is about 800,000 pesos a month.
Okay.
And the new warehouse for the 93,000
Yun po
PCOS
yun.
machines?
Yun yung binibid pa.
Bid pa. So we now have 2 warehouses
Yes.
for
Ganun
for
yung-
the old and the new PCOS machines. And we do not know if that will again triple in 2019 because machines easily depreciate in value and even in use.
Well, I'm told
They are
yes and no because yun daw sa scanner technology naman there is not much development and that we're hoping that if these machines are refurbished and upgraded, they would perform in a similar fashion as that of the machines that we will be leasing.
Yes. So in short, sir, we are awarding the old vendor that had violated a lot of deficiencies and provisions in the law with a new contract for a new set of machines.
Is the contract being questioned before the Supreme Court? The award? Meron na?
Yes.
Okay, so
And by the same.
okay. So let the Supreme Court decide. Okay, so Mr. Kerubin, yes.
Yes,
Teka, Mr. Kerubin, si Congressman Barsaga.
Well, in the event that there will be adverse decision in the Supreme Court, what shall we expect? Because that is a possibility. You may win a case, you may lose a case. Eh kung sakaling matalo tayo roon, ano ang asa namin?
The in charge of contingency is Commissioner Pareño.
No. So, what do we expect? Walang halalan, mag-EMR kayo, etc.
You ready to answer the question?
It is, well, again, if that happens, if we are stopped, probably we will again consult with the committee to provide to you our options and that there will, as you know, we can, I don't know, a pure manual or we have to postpone the elections. So, but rest assured that if that happens, we will consult with this committee in respect of what to do moving forward.
In a pure manual, which is already very familiar, supposed to be with the Comelec, how many days do you need to prepare in a purely manual election?
Naku, Mr. Chairman, unang-una, this will be against the law, no?
I know.
Because
No.
we have
Pero
an automated election
you
system.
mentioned it as a contingency. I just want to know how.
No, as I
in
said, we
case-
will need to consult, and as I said, at this point, we are not. That's not one of the considerations. But again, we will need guidance. As I said, this will be
Actually,
a big complication.
the law needs to be construed reasonably. If you must hold the election and if it can only be held manually, then you have to do it. So, in a pure manual, which is very familiar to the Comelec, how many months do you need to prepare?
About 6 months, Your Honor.
6 months. Basta, at least alam lang namin na gano'n, no? Mr. Kerubin, yes, last question.
My final point po. According to globalsources.com, there are 5,193 manufacturers of SD cards. 4,975 of them are in mainland China. So again, since you mentioned about the Chinese saboteurs, you only have very few manufacturers that you can choose from. Thank you.
Just a manifestation. Okay, so we were not able to follow our agenda, but in the next hearing, which we will schedule sometime next month, hopefully you can already bring a machine? October? Hindi pa? Wala pa?
Baka hindi pa po.
September delivery.
No, sa September 5. Sa October, may mga baka end
Baka
October o baka
Your
first week
Honor,
of
pero
November.
baka yung software, hindi pa ma-ready yung software. So makita nyo yung physical machine lang, pero yung takbo, hindi pa mapapademonstrate.
So let's talk about the machine, the new features, as well as please submit the written reports that we are requesting.
And also, Mr. Chairman, in fact, during the House Committee on Suffrage and Electoral Reform hearing yesterday, we told the members of the committee that we will be inviting them to visit Taiwan to look at the manufacturing of these machines, and we will be extending the same invitation to the members of the Joint Congressional Oversight Committee. And then one more thing, Mr. Chairman, before we would also like, as promised, we will be submitting hard copies of the EDCVL that were used in the 2013 elections to give you an idea of what the EDCVL will look like.
Ako, I want to personally see what is the value of that document, if the pictures are clear or if the image of the voter is clear enough for the watcher or for the BEI to identify. No? So, okay, so if there are no more points, so the chair would like to thank Congressman Barsaga, Senator Aquino for attending our hearing, and of course all of you. Thank you for your presence. We will have to suspend, and sometime in October we'll hold another one. Thank you very much. Our hearing is suspended.